Man, Brandon, are you even doing YouTube anymore?
I mean, obviously, regularly, no. I still have like ideas that I want to do, and
yes,
yeah, I think I'm gonna hop back on it soon because I'm getting I'm gonna build a PC here soon. I want to get like a nice little mic setup and everything. So I think I'm gonna probably hop back on soon. And like even if I do like just like quick videos here and there, and I mean like long form. But my main thing is like I've had fun. Like only a couple times I've done like the live streams and everything.
Yeah,
so I've had fun. You know, even if it's like 5 or 6 people to hop on, it's still pretty fun just to be able to talk and stuff. So I think I'm gonna start doing those more. Those are a lot of fun.
Get like 20 or so people, 22, 25. Sometimes we've gotten up to 30, and you can get a chat going pretty good with around that many people. But like the thing that just really shot me in my ego was like how they just got rid of the algorithms and everything. Like I'm like, dude, I've got 7,000 subscribers. What do you mean 200 views, 300 views? Like what happened? But like it's not the same at all. Like you can look at True Slayer stuff too. Like it's not the same traction, but I don't think it's the interest rate. Like there's so much more stuff that's out there now, right? But like Google was literally promoting us when we started. Do you know what I mean? Like we were literally like before they were Google, just YouTube in general. Like went to the sports main page, we were there. So like now it's like you're just kind of on your own. Plus your subscribers don't get notifications when new videos come unless they hit the bell, and like they've really rigged the game to where it's pretty hard to be successful.
What I was telling Josh, like, could you imagine like all of the tools that YouTube have now? Could you imagine that back in like 07, 08, where like you could like premiere your videos and like you guys could be in the chat like talking to the people as they're watching the video?
That would have changed the fucking game for that whole era. Oh my god!
Like, and my thing is what I kind of want to do. And let me know if you're interested in this too. But like, I think we should just have a whole network of people that are wrestling fans that all have kind of their own YouTube thing. You plug each other and you get that buzz going from just all the other fan bases and whatever. And I think it would work. You know, I think people would be interested to see a Doug and True Slayer video and whatever else. Like, as long as, you know, we all got along or whatever, but like, I just think that like, there's a thing for that now, you know, and if you look at most stuff, Star Wars, entertainment, whatever, it's usually like a group of a fan base of the same stuff that have all kind of do their own YouTube and they all kind of merge and help each other out.
I think now you're just battling, especially like with wrestling, you're battling those, I won't even call them gimmick channels, but like your what cultures and your Wrestle Talks and all those types of, you know, that have like the thumbnails with like the huge gimmick and everything like that. So I think that's pretty much what you're battling these days. But like you said, if you can get a network of people together who are kind of like all have like the same mindset or whatnot, it definitely could work.
I mean, even I don't even think necessarily it has to be exactly the same mindset. I want debate. I want you to tell me if you think I'm wrong, because then I want to explain why I think I'm right, and I want to hear why you think I'm wrong. You know what I mean? Like, I think part of what kind of hurt Bill and I is we agree on everything. But I really think if we were to do videos now, there's a little bit of a disagreement here and there on certain things. So it just depends.
Yeah, it's weird with the algorithm for YouTube, because I know from like the time that I worked at MMA On Point, like sometimes their stuff just wouldn't get promoted because it had to do with fighting. Like sometimes they just see like the word wrestling or fighting or MMA or something, it just automatically doesn't get promoted. Like how it was crazy because like y'all would get on like the actual like YouTube homepage and like the sports section back in the day and stuff. That just like would never happen anymore.
Yeah, no. And I mean, it just depends on what, I guess, Google wants you to see or whatever it is. Like, it's a weird deal. It's also about likes. It's about getting attention and all that stuff. And dude, I ain't no EDP or anything, so I'm not going to come here and just drop like 80 million cuss words and drop my pants and sell my soul. I have a job. Like,
exactly what it's done.
I can't go too far, you know? And that's where I don't want to feud with anybody that can, because then I can't really fight back. You know what I mean? Be like, hey, you got me, whatever, you know? There will be no more Vendetta videos, I'll tell you that.
Kent Jones, Tubba Jew.
Imagine if I'm like, dude, Bill, get over here. We've got Kent Jones about to get on the live stream right now, and we would have went to war on that. And like, I think the views would have been through the freaking roof. You know,
it'd have been crazy.
Yeah.
So it was a crazy run. But yeah, I don't know about you, but like, I can't let go of YouTube. Like, part of me just feels like. And it's like I thought about deleting the channel and all sorts of stuff for like the longest time, and I never did. And like, I just get hit with like an urgency every now and then, and be like, dude, I need to do this, and I need to do this again.
Right.
So like, I don't know. I think once you get bit by the bug, it's hard to. But man, like I said, you've really got to check your ego at the door, because it's not the same game, and you've really got to up the ante and do things differently. And it's like, how much do I want to edit stuff, and how much do I want to, go through and get all the nice equipment and all that stuff. So that's where I'm like at.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting game these days. It's funny you mentioned MMA On Point. Was that the channel that you mentioned?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually just discovered that probably like a month or two ago, and I've like just been binging through all of those videos. Like when I'm on the bike, that's pretty much just what I watch on there. Like, there's a lot of interesting videos in that channel.
Cool, good deal, man. I worked for them for like 3 years, and I did a lot of their social media work, and I edited videos. So not all the videos, but some of the videos were probably mine that you saw on there. And now I actually edit for a rival YouTube company now called All Things MMA, which is similar. I kind of consider it to be like the dumbed down version of MMA On Point. It's more for fans that are like if you weren't a huge MMA fan, more like a casual fan, and you saw it, it'd be like really educational, like, but MMA On Point does really great deep dive type work. So that's cool. That's cool that you discover, because I mean, I have kind of my issues here and there with the channel because of my time there, but for the most part, like, I want them to be successful. So I'm glad people are checking their stuff out. That's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Brandon, when did you start watching MMA?
So it's funny. So do you remember, I mean, obviously it came on like, as far as like Ultimate Fighter and everything came on after Raw. Like I never checked it. I mean, I saw the commercials and everything, but I never really checked it out. Yeah. I knew about like Tito and Ken because I remember how big it was at the Best Damn Sports Show or whatever, when they had like that little spread on there. So I remember that, but I never still really watched it. Do you remember it was on ESPN. It was a interview Brian Kinney did with Joe Rogan and Lou DiBella.
Oh, yeah.
So I watched that live.
Swallowed.
Yeah, I watched that live that weekend, and that was like the biggest promotion that they did for UFC with UFC 71. And I was like, I want to watch this.
Yeah.
And I remember like the second fight of the night, that was Keith Jardine. I knew the name.
Yeah.
Keith Jardine versus Houston Alexander.
Oh, God.
Like, okay, whatever. Like Keith Jardine needs to win this because he was a name, at least for me. And then I just saw Houston come in there and just absolutely smack it. I'm like, oh, like anybody can win at any time. Like that kind of like, and of course the main event with Rampage and everything just kind of blew me away. I'm like, all right, okay, I'll definitely watch this. So between that and then I think was that K1 show like somewhere around that time, the one with Brock.
The Coliseum at USC where I think
it was around the same time, and I just remember I don't even remember what fighter it was, but it was a football, like a former NFL guy, and he just got wrecked in like 10 seconds.
Johnny Morton. It was like Johnny Morton.
Yeah. He got wrecked. I'm like, okay, this is not something where
they also did Sakuraba and Gracie on that card.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I started watching. So I'll say like that's when I became a fan, and then when I fell in love with it, because I still watched it probably for a couple years. I even ordered my first UFC with the Brock fight against Couture. That was like the first pay-per-view I bought.
Okay.
And it was. Do you remember it was a tough finale. It wasn't necessarily the finale for the Ultimate Fighter, but it was Diego Sanchez and Clay Guida.
Oh yeah, that's in the Hall of Fame. Fight.
Yeah, that one I watched that live, and I was like, all right, I'm in love with the sport now.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Nice. What about you, Steve?
Well, like when I started watching MMA.
Well, when you became like a fan.
Honestly, probably around the same time, becoming like super into it. But there was always like I'd say so. For me, it was like going to Blockbuster and renting VHSs of like WWF pay-per-views and WCW pay-per-views and stuff. I was always watching everything after the fact because like my parents would never let me buy the pay-per-views. So like I'd go there and I'd buy, the new, the WCW show that was out, 6 months ago or whatever. And eventually they started showing like the in the same aisle right below the wrestling VHSs, they started getting like, all of a sudden I see like Ken Shamrock on like fight videos and Dan Severn on fight. And I knew these guys from wrestling. So then that was kind of like my introduction to it. But then like the Ultimate Fighter era, the Tito Chuck stuff, of course, like Brandon was saying, I mean, that time frame was like when I got really, really hardcore. And I think that, I think the first show I ever bought was definitely Tito headlining, but it wasn't Ken Shamrock. It was while he was the light heavyweight champion. I just can't remember what show it was.
Was it the Couture?
No, I don't. I can't remember who. I honestly he can't. It was the one where he came out with like the Randy Orton style like waterfall pyro and
it would have had to have been either the pay-per-view that Dana absolutely hates, which is 33, where it went off air before it finished, or it was 32 with Cinesec, one or the other.
That was it. It was Cinesec. That was it. That was the first time. That was like when I started getting really invested.
Rodman and Fred Durst with him. Like,
yeah. But I was a huge Limp Bizkit fan, as I know you were. So like, I loved all this stuff. You know what I mean?
I just listened to a Significant Other the other day. Such a good album.
Dude, you know what cracks me up is I was like listening to reactions of current day people, like listening to Limp Bizkit and stuff. Like, I don't know, one day I must have spent like 4 or 5 hours of them just listening to like Limp Bizkit and Korn. And like they were blown away by how great it was. And I was expecting them to just crap all over it. And they were just like, this is amazing. And I'm just like, wow, it's crazy. But so get this. The first Elimination Chamber was right around the same time that Tito and Ken was, like the same month, like within weeks. So when Shawn Michaels won the title in the Elimination Chamber is also when Tito and Ken went down. And after that, I was just hooked. After Tito Ken, like I was done. Like once I because not only on that card you saw Chuck, you saw Robbie Lawler, you saw Bob Alou, Matt Hughes. Like it was just loaded. And then I ordered the Pride pay-per-view because Chuck was on that fighting Rampage. I had no idea who Rampage was, but I saw that Chuck was in the tournament, so I checked that out, and then I never looked back.
So did you hate Chuck Liddell at that point already, or no? When you tuned in to watch Pride?
No, I liked Chuck. I really liked Rampage after I saw him destroy Chuck, though, and then it was like the Chuck and Tito thing really started heating up, and then it was kind of like, okay, like I don't like this guy too much, and then it started. You could really see the favoritism between Dana and Chuck, and Tito was kind of getting put on the outside, and it was kind of like this is starting to feel manufactured, almost kind of like Goldberg and WCW to the point, because then they only would give Chuck like wrestlers and not strikers, and they were like making it out to be like he's the best fighter in the world, and I didn't think he was at all, and so like I was just frustrated with the whole concept. And then I hated the way that the first fight ended between him and Tito. I mean, that's definitely a thumb in the eye. No one can change my mind on that. And I still think that Chuck is a terrible matchup for Tito at the end of the day. So I'm not saying that Tito would have beat him, but I definitely think there's also a difference between Tito, like pre-Randy Couture and after Randy Couture, like the back and all that stuff. It really started to flare up towards that end because he didn't wrestle the same since then. Like he was never the same. But I think if you want to see the last of like prime Tito, though, was Tito Vitor. After that, like he was never the same. So it's my opinion, though.
Yeah, I mean he beat the shit out of Del Rio. Like he looked pretty good in that one.
Yeah, yeah, I enjoyed that.
I didn't even watch that fight.
Not worth the money, dude. It looked. I mean, it wasn't rigged. Sorry, go ahead, Doug.
What's funny is Alberto looked gassed like within 2 minutes, 2 minutes. And Tito hit him with one shot, like a good clean shot. And I mean, Alberto was like wobbled on the feet, and he didn't even hit him with like a really good shot. It was just a clean shot, and then he wanted out of there. Like he wanted no part of it.
It was like a Bob Sapp fight. He like got hit, turtled up, and that was took the money.
Pretty much took the money and ran. So
Yeah, so, Brandon, by the way, I just wanted to compliment. I'm looking at your Twitter and your quote in your bio. That's one of my favorite movies ever. Clerks.
Oh, Clerks, yeah.
Yeah.
I try to change it up every now and then, but yeah, I love that movie.
I got the Mallrats blueprints behind me. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that whole universe.
The whole universe, yeah.
They have that fat guy that was like in Clerks, American History X, Remember the Titans. He was on Tim Pool tonight. He's lost so much weight.
He's jacked, isn't
he? Ethan Suplee or whatever, the guy from Boy Meets World and all that. Yeah,
he was on. He's on Tim Pool tonight, and I was just like, damn, wow, that's different. But yeah, I talk about transformation. I was blown away. I've heard that they've even talked about doing a Mallrats too and stuff, but man, at this point, just like leave it alone. I am so over remakes and
just rehashing the stuff that worked in the past. And
like, dude, but the thing is they want to change it though. So it's like it's not what you remember, so then it's not any good. Like you have to still hit. Like I think the best thing to do is like what Cobra Kai did, an example of just like where you have the original cast, but then you build in your new cast with it and continue on. But just to like remake characters and stuff, it just does not work.
Yeah, I'm really, really fearing this Mighty Ducks reboot that's about to happen. Like,
I didn't even know that was a thing until yesterday. I watched the trailer.
Yeah,
I had no clue that it was happening.
Isn't it scary though? Yeah, like,
it's super corny, but honestly, there's nothing wrong with corny. I mean, as long as it's good, it's fine. But it just, I don't know. It just, I hate to go back because it's nostalgic and everything, but it just didn't have, I don't know, that charm that like the ones that we grew up with. It didn't have any of that. At least from the trailers, it doesn't look like it had any of that stuff there.
I had the same feeling. I was like, so full disclosure, I have not seen like these last the Star Wars sequel trilogy is what you call it, right, Doug? So I'm not like a big Star Wars guy, and we got into this whole talk about Star Wars because I brought up the Mighty Ducks trailer the last time me and Doug talked, and he was comparing Gordon Bombay to Han Solo in the sequel trilogy and all this stuff. And so I need to to Luke Skywalker in the sequel trilogy. I don't want to misspeak here. So, but Doug, you had to tell me, like, just really quickly. We left on this cliffhanger the last time I was on here, and I don't know how Luke Skywalker dies in Star Wars. So Doug was going to tell me about that tonight. Is that worth talking about? Or
I mean, whatever. So basically, Luke Skywalker, he is a shell of himself, right? He is like this hermit that ran away in the mountains after trying to kill his nephew because he turned to the dark side and all this nonsense. And so his road to redemption, and like he even throws like a hint in the movie where he's like, I'm not some heroic guy that's just going to fight like a battle of troopers with laser swords anymore or whatever. So anyways, he shows up like at this where basically like the good guys are screwed. And here comes Luke Skywalker to the rescue. And he goes and talks to Leia, which is his sister, of course.
Right.
And then he goes out and like, Kylo Ren, which is his nephew, which is the son of Han and Leia, decides to like shoot him with blasters, like uncontrollably, right? Like from this giant machine thing, weaponized thing they have. So they shoot him like, I don't know, 60, 70 times. And of course, he's still standing there. So then Kylo Ren's like, okay, I'm going to go down there and take care of him. And he like keeps swinging on him and stuff, and he misses, and you know he's all acting all cool. And then he sticks like that lightsaber in him, actually swings at him, and nothing happens. And then you find out that Luke is like on the island still, levitating on a rock, and he's up in the air, and he used so much force to hologram himself into that area that he just dies after the good guys are saved or whatever, and it was a distraction so Rey could push a bunch of rocks open and everybody can escape. But like that's how Luke Skywalker dies, is like a hologram force vision thing.
Wait, so did he get into the hologram, or like he died as a hologram?
He died because he used so much force to project himself there.
Oh wow, yeah, that seems pretty weak. Well, thanks for explaining Star Wars to me. Like I'm glad I didn't invest.
And in Star Wars, you've never seen that before. Never. It's just some guy just decided to say, "Hey, I'm going to make my own rules. I'm just going to do whatever I want."
Yeah.
With the most legendary character of them all.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be pretty disappointed.
I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. I saw all 3 movies in the theaters. They didn't have a roadmap for where that trilogy need to go. That was horrible. Like, how could you do that? Like, if you want to give multiple people the reins and like everyone do their own movie, you need to have a course. Like, hey, like you can put your own spin in it a little bit, but it needs to do this. Like, this needs to happen. That needs to happen. Like, Kevin Feige gave what's his name? I don't know the guy's name off the top of my head, but the guy who did Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Like, he gave him his spin because like he does like a lot of comedy stuff and everything. Yeah, he does a lot of comedy stuff. So like you can put your spin on this movie, but this is where it needs to lead because this is where we're going.
Right.
And they didn't do that with Star Wars. They just said, here, just go out and make your 3 movies. And
some of the people that were hired to make those movies got fired. And then you call them up and be like, hey, we need you to fix this. But like there was no roadmap anyways. And then the person that fixed the 3rd one was the one that did the first one and realized that the second one got completely destroyed from the first one. And then it's like, okay, clean this up. And you have 2.5 hours to do it. Like, it was a disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad I know now.
We can move on from it now.
Yeah. I can move on with my life. I know.
How do you, not to just randomly pivot, but how do you feel about this Big Show signing?
I think it's a message to Vince. Just the simple fact that like people are willing to leave to go to this company. It's like he would never go to TNA, but he's willing to go here. And I think if it's done right, it's not a bad thing. Like if he does commentary and he wrestles, let's say every pay-per-view, and there's only 4 pay-per-views a year, it's not the most terrible idea.
All right.
It's nothing that makes me really excited or think that like AEW is on the map now because of it.
All right.
Yeah, I'm kind of like Doug. Like I'm excited from the perspective that like I didn't ever expect the Big Show not to work for the WWE if he was going to be in wrestling. Like it really shows that everyone is going to listen to AEW no matter who they are. They may not all fully consider it, but at the very least they're listening. But for like the Big Show specifically, if he really is more of a commentator and he's good at commentary, which we really don't know yet because he's never really done it, but he's a personable guy who speaks well. But if they kind of use him like really like every now and then, they don't like overexpose him. He wrestles like occasionally. I'm okay with it, especially if he puts over like Wardlow or something. Like I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, I can see him as maybe like a liaison, like between the WWE locker room and like AEW, where they have like this confidence. I mean, obviously you got guys like Moxley there, but now you have someone like a super veteran like Big Show, where the guys in that locker room can call them up like, hey, like, how is it really over there? Like, is it as well as they say and everything? So that could definitely be interesting. So you can probably see some other guys jump ship.
Well, it's like, you now have Jericho in there. You have Big Show. You have Moxley. I mean, like, if you need to reach out and find out what the vibes are like over there. I also think personally that tribute show was the best, like, campaign to come to AEW for Brody. Like, if you were on the fence and you watched that from the WWE, you had to start to think, like, man, I might give this company a chance if I'm ever become a free agent. You know what I mean? So yeah. I think that part's good. Plus, I also think, video games, figures, all that stuff, if you can get these guys' likenesses, it's worth it in the end because you can get a lot of that stuff and take it away from the WWE in that sense. Because collectibles right now are through the roof.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think part of that, too, with like the recruiting, guys like Big Show and all that, I think a big part of that recruiting process currently is Cody. Because, I mean, he was there a long time. He's got he got good relationships, and he's an EVP. So it's like, if he wants it done and they can offer the money these guys are looking for and these girls, I mean, whoever. Like
they need girls. Jesus.
Yeah.
This is getting rough. I'm not seeing like I like Thunder Rosa, but who knows what that deal is going to be. And that sucks. Anna Jade, like she's out for probably a good 6 months to a year. Like they need something. I was shocked to see Britt Baker lose to Nyla Rose last night. I thought she was going to win the entire tournament. Stupid.
I was definitely I was shocked. Now, I definitely give AEW the benefit of the doubt, where like they're probably going to have a plan with this, because I felt like I don't know if they were going to have Thunder Rosa beat not Sheeta, but beat Riho. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to have her beat Rio, and I just thought like you would have Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker in the rematch. I don't know if Riho's going to beat her, and then you could still possibly set up that pay-per-view match between Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker. But yeah, I was definitely surprised to see Nyla win. But again, I give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm definitely okay with waiting to see what happens. But I just think that they can't wait too much longer on Britt Baker. Like, if you're going to do something with her, you got to go ahead and start doing something now.
I agree. I definitely agree. This pay-per-view is kind of weird to me. Like,
it's very weird.
Like, the card is kind of all over the place.
The matches that I'm excited for, I'm super excited for, and then the other stuff, I'm just like, I don't hate it, but I'm not like overly excited.
Like Adam Page and Matt Hardy, that's not really going to do anything for me. The tag gauntlet thing, like, man, like it feels a lot like WrestleMania in a sense, where they just try to fill up so many spots so guys can get a spot on the pay-per-view. Like, man, I want more depth to some of these matches. I mean, some of them are good. I'm very curious how Sting and Darby, because if that is a miss, that's going to hurt the pay-per-view a lot. If that match is a miss,
it's not going to be a miss. I'm so confident that's going to be good.
With it being cinematic, I'm pretty confident as well.
Yeah. I agree, but I just worry it could come across a little hokey. But at the end of the day, like I'm for it. I'm excited for it.
Well, based on what we saw last night, like his matches don't necessarily have to be cinematic, especially if they're a tag team match. Like, he just went in there and proved he can go hit the Stinger Splash, hit the Scorpion Death Drop, he can put someone in a Scorpion. All he's got to do is go out there and do the greatest hits, and I think everyone will be happy with that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Ricky Starks and Darby are going to have to take some bumps, in my opinion, if you don't do cinematic. But if it's cinematic, then yeah, it's this main event too. Like, I think the buildup between Moxley and Kenny is great, but like, where the hell did you decide? It sounds like Kenny came up with the idea, and I don't think he gets enough credit for how crazy he is. But like, at the end of the day, like, I hope that goes off well too, because that thing could be just off the rails.
Yeah, definitely so.
So it's like there's those types of matches I'm excited for, but then there's a lot of stuff too. Like I'm not really loving the Bucks and MJF and Jericho, like whatever. But I feel like the Bucks can always have a good match. They'll find ways, so I'm good with it. But that, like I said, there's just if I'm trying to sell this to somebody that normally doesn't watch AEW, I am not extremely confident that this thing is just going to like be a home run.
I think you will be able to maybe sell somebody just off the title of the main event.
Yeah,
just like, exploding barbed wire death matches. Just like, what does that sound like? And that's something like I'm not super excited. I mean, I've seen those type of matches before, and they're definitely crazy and whatnot. And the match they had at Full Gear, like, I didn't love that match.
Bonkers.
Yeah, I mean, it was super crazy. Like I said, that style of match doesn't really hit with me as much as it did probably like 10 years ago or so. But I'm still interested just to see what they're going to do in this one. And with Kenny, he's always said, like, in order to be considered the best, you have to be able to do every single style of match. So he wants to go out there and prove that he can do like the craziest of crazy matches. I'm excited for that, just to see it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what takes Moxley out, because, like, Kenny's. Yeah. I mean, you gotta imagine Kenny's gonna win. Like, what are they gonna have to do to him in that match to keep him down? Like, I'm kind of interested to see. But I'm the same way. Like, there's certain things about death matches that, like, there's certain parts where, like, it crosses the line sometimes with me, where it's like, okay, I don't know if I want to watch the rest of this or not. But AEW hasn't gone super. The worst thing they've done that I've seen was when Janela took the thumbtacks to his bare feet. That's to me is like, I just can't. But I don't know. I'm excited for it.
When Darby did the thumbtack skateboard to the back of
Ricky Starks,
and just ripped his back open.
That's right. That was gnarly.
But like, part of me is like, it kind of depends on who's in the match, right? Like, these are two of the best wrestlers, and so to me, it gives me more interest, and I'm willing to go there more than I would with others. Like if I just watch some junk GCW match with like two guys that are just willing to just kill themselves, like it doesn't do much for me. But like I'll be more emotionally invested with these two guys. So we'll see. I've always been a fan of like athletic hardcore, like Rob Van Dam and like stuff like that. Like I think some of like. To me, one of the best matches is like AJ and Kurt Angle from like TNA Hard Justice, like 2008 or whatever.
That was a great match.
Right. But it's like, that's not your typical mat wrestling match. Kurt Angle, Shane McMahon's one of the greatest matches ever. Like, I love that match from King of the Ring. So, like, I'm willing to accept a lot of the hardcore for certain stuff, but just, man, exploding barbed wire death match is a big ask. So, we'll see, but I'm sure we'll get the pay-per-view.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely. I mean, I'm pumped for it. Like I think of all the AEW pay-per-views, I can't remember which one it was, but there was one. It was the one where Matt Hardy like got real concussed against Sammy Guevara and all that stuff.
That was All Out.
Yeah,
it was MJF and Moxley, right? Wasn't that the one?
I think so. Yeah. And that was the only one that I think didn't quite
like. Yes, there's not much of a crowd, but man, that was like when it was like really hot, and they were out there for like 6 hours, and it just was. It was Kenny and Adam Page versus FTR, and like it just didn't come across as what it should have. You know what I mean? Like there was definitely some matches that.
Yeah, that was a show they started with that goofy, and that should have been on the pre-show, but they got bullied into putting on the pay-per-view. That Britt Baker and Swole match
in the dentist office. Yeah,
that would have been a perfect pre-show match. Like I would have enjoyed it, just that goofy match on there. But they put it at the beginning of the pay-per-view. I'm like, that just didn't.
Well, it almost gave you more faith in it when it was for the pay-per-view, or because then you were like, oh, they're going to put this on pay-per-view. They might actually try to do something with it. And then like when it started, you're just like, ugh.
Yeah. Well, it was like what Brandon said though. It was like everyone on Twitter got all upset that they weren't on the pay-per-view. So like they switched it because of the pressure.
Yeah. Man, just stick to it. Don't give in to the mob. It never works. What else? What else is going on?
You gotta
between Revolution and then like UFC 259 and 260, like it's a big one. It's big for pay-per-view.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. Who do you think in the UFC is less who could lose their belt?
I mean,
title fights coming up.
So I'll let Brandon go first. I mean, they got 3 title fights this weekend, then 2 at the next pay-per-view. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot of possibilities.
I'm gonna be wrong, but I would probably say. I mean, I want to believe that Ngannou can actually like make something happen and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I want to say that he could beat Stipe. I like Stipe a lot, and I like Francis Ngannou a lot as well. But it's just the fact that when you build him up, and then he just kind of came. I wouldn't say came crashing down, but he didn't. Like his last title fight, was it the Stipe fight?
Yeah, and then it was the Derek Lewis fight that sucked right after that.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's killed everyone.
But since then he's an animal. Yeah, since then,
He's been killing people since then. But I don't know. Maybe he has a chance to do it.
You can tell that mentally broke him bad though. So like just maybe getting in the cage, and if things don't go well, like he could totally like mentally break in there, and then it's all over for him. So we'll see, but. I think if he's like on all cylinders, I think he's going to destroy Stipe. Just a simple fact too. I think Stipe's like he's had enough fights in there where I don't think he can last much longer. He's 38 years old. He's been in a lot of wars. Like Francis coming at him full force. Like I think that could be it, but we'll see.
Yeah, I've actually got Ngannou as well as my prediction. I'm editing a video right now that's like very heavy on Stipe, so I've been watching a lot of his stuff like actually today. And like the more I watch him though, like the more and more I'm always impressed. Where like because I was always thinking like DC was going to beat him every time they fought, and like he proved me wrong there. And like Stipe is just a damn good fighter. He's tough, and so like I think he could definitely beat Ngannou, but I am gonna pick Ngannou for my predictions because I feel like he's got to feel like his back's against the wall. It's like this is your big shot. Like he's got to get the job done now, or else it's gonna be another one of those long climbs. So
You gotta think if it doesn't go deep. I mean, if it goes like past like the second round, then that's when it starts to lean towards a little bit more Stipe.
Yeah, sure. I also like. I feel like with Ngannou, if this doesn't work out, like then I feel like he might want to just give up MMA in general and go to like boxing or something. Like he seems very frustrated with the UFC, and like this would be the second time. I think that could be a point where he would say no thanks. And I mean, my God, right now the way that they're paying these guys to fight celebrities and stuff, like, dude, you want to be a free agent right now to take those fights. Like these paydays are ridiculous.
Well, question for y'all. Speaking of the title fights coming up, who'd you have between Adesanya and Blachowicz?
That's a very interesting fight to me.
Isn't he's going up in weight, right?
Yeah, he's going for the light heavyweight title.
He's going to be champ. He's going to try to be champ.
He was skinny as like not as skinny, but like lean as like a middleweight. Now he's going up in weight.
Yep.
Yeah.
He even said he'd fight John Jones at heavyweight.
Yeah, that's murder.
He doesn't believe in weight classes. He thinks it's all about movement and everything else, and so he's not that concerned about it. I think Jan is unbelievably powerful at 205. So I mean, if you're really going to underestimate the size and you're not really putting that too much of thought into it, like, dude, that sounds like you could get put to sleep. And like as great as Izzy's been and everything, like I can't get past that this guy barely got past Kevin Gastelum. Like his face was swollen, his lip was out to here, like he got his ass whooped. That was one of the best fights though, but like he barely got out of there. And he's looked amazing since, so can't say anything bad, but like I don't know. He seems like he's to the point where he feels like he can't lose, and that's usually when guys lose.
One thing I will say is I am over the champ stuff.
I hate it.
Like it was when Conor did it, it was cool. When DC did it, I didn't mind it. When freaking Nunes did it, I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
But now I'm just like,
well, it's been happening in Bellator now. Like when it was Bader, he was the lightweight and heavyweight champ, and then like guys can't take fights because they're too busy with losing weight or gaining weight or this title. Like it sucks. Like in my opinion, if you want to do these type of fights and just make super fights and don't put belts on the line, like just do it that way. Because at the end of the day, even if the champ loses at one of the weights, like he's still going to be champ in something, right? So like, you know, if a guy that's the heavyweight champ and the 205 champ, he loses a heavyweight, still the 205 champ. So it's like, and no matter what, you can't look at him the same because he just lost. So.
Yeah, it is screws over those like guys like Glover Teixeira who built themselves back up for a title shot, and they're just sitting around like waiting for Izzy to get a shot at a title at a weight class he's never fought in. But it's a good fight. The thing about this fight is I've picked against Izzy in like all of his fights, and I'm like always wrong. Like I thought Whitaker was gonna beat him. I thought Costa was gonna beat him. I actually had him over Romero, but like it was a tough one to call. I was there live for the Gastelum fight. Like that was the best fight I've ever seen live. That was incredible. And people forget about Holloway and Poirier right after that because of how good that fight was.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I remember both fights being great, and it felt like a great show. Like absolutely.
Yeah, I'm dude, and you know me, man. Like I picked Blachowicz to win the title. Like I've been on his hype train.
I picked Reyes to beat Blachowicz. So yeah, like he beat the piss out of him. Like his face was just destroyed. He has an unbelievable power.
Yeah. I'm going to take Blachowicz though, like personal. I'm just going to roll with it.
Jan and Sterling?
Yeah. I'm not going to pick against Jan.
Yeah. Sterling's been looking damn good.
I like him a lot, but I'm not going to pick against.
Yeah, I like him. I just don't think this is a good fight for him.
That weight class is fucking stacked right now, though, with like Sandhagen looking incredible, and they got some legitimate contenders there, bantamweight right now. And TJ Dillashaw is going to be back soon. Like, and I know his situation's a little strange with the PEDs and stuff, but he's a contender about to come back. Dominic Cruz, Jose Aldo, all those guys are still around. Yeah,
I don't care about TJ's PED use. Whatever, he's done his suspension. Bring him in. Let's see what he's got.
I just don't want to see him get an immediate title shot. That's the only thing.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, especially since Sandhagen did Frankie Edgar that bad. Like, I think he's on the road to getting a title shot.
And Moraes right before that with that head kick. I mean, he's looking nasty. And of course, Sterling choked him out, and that's why Sterling definitely deserves the title shot first. But
right,
So yeah,
it's hard for me to forget when Mariah's knocked out Sterling too. Like he with the
head kick,
knocked him out cold. So I just feel like Jan's gonna catch him. I really do. I don't know if Sterling's really good on the ground. I don't know how great Jan is, but yeah.
You've got a couple super chats. I think some of them are UFC related.
Yeah.
Cool. Go for it.
I can't read the top. Well, actually, I can. Give me just a second. It's on another screen here.
I got you right here.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Chris Warden, mid to late 2000s was the Attitude Era for UFC. Just a roster full of stars who were all over. They say we'll probably never see it again.
Yeah, and the great thing too about that is like especially in UFC and stuff, like it was so much more not as popular or not as big, and like not everybody knew it. So the people that were fans were like diehard fans, and they really looked forward to it. And it became really commercialized. Like you don't want like your neighbor who never watches it being like, "Man, did you see the fights last night?" Like it was weird for me to accept that when I saw the sport continue to grow. Like it was just like, wow, we're on ESPN now, and wow, we're, because it felt like it was just like your own little niche, and then it just like blew up. And it was almost like literally like overnight, like all of a sudden UFC 50 is like the worst god awful pay-per-view that they could do. And then like UFC 51 is like, holy crap, like this is awesome. This is huge buy rates. And then it was like Tito and Chuck it was like Chuck and Randy after that. And it's just like, oh my God, like this thing is huge now. So yeah, for sure. And man, this is another thing too, like with the WWE, like have you guys seen the ages on these guys that are like in NXT and are getting pushed and stuff? Because like it's like you remember them from the indies and you're like, yeah, you know, they were young, but like, dude, they're now like 35, 36.
Like Punishment Martinez is like on Raw and they're like, oh, here's this new up and coming star. And it's like he's actually like 38 years old. Like
yes. And like Karrion Kross is like 36 and Matt Riddle is 35. Like what? Like that's such a huge flaw to me of the WWE is that they let these guys kill themselves before they signed them. And now that they've signed them, like they don't have a lot of time. Like I just feel like they've missed so many guys in their prime.
The flaw for them is their performance center. It doesn't turn out anybody. They've had a couple people like Charlotte, and I mean I guess you could say like Reigns, even though he started. Well, they kind of both started in FCW.
Yeah.
So you have some like the women that they train out, but like there are no real like top guys.
What about like FTR? Were they like homegrown?
They might have done some like local indies, but I mean for the most part, like I think like they started.
But I don't think they were teaming before the PC though.
No.
I don't think. I could be wrong, but I think they actually met at the PC.
But like the Undisputed Era is literally Team Ring of Honor. Like
oh yeah, for sure.
It drives me crazy or like because I know some people that never would give Ring of Honor a chance, and they think NXT is the greatest thing ever. And this dude literally had the audacity to be like, dude, Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly are going to feud. And I'm like, I've seen that for like 6 years straight. Like, and in every match imaginable, like this.
In multiple companies, they wrestled a Wrestle Kingdom for the title.
Right. You know, and so it's like, come on. And Roderick Strong and Bobby Fish and like that's Red Dragon still to me, you know, Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. And it's just it's like they never really made a lot and they just bought everything that they've gotten. Like
I don't know how much time it sucks, but I don't know how much time Bobby Fish has left because he's just getting
hurt
every other month. I feel bad for the guy.
Yeah.
And he's like 10 years older than the rest of those guys too.
Which, if that's the case, he's like 45.
Like he legitimately is probably in his 40s. I don't know for sure, but I'll look it up real quick. I know he's not a young guy either.
Do you think though that NXT now at this point is accepted that they're not moving guys up?
He's 44, by the way.
That they just want to keep their brand?
That's the thing. Like you get mixed signals. Like are they developmental? Are they the third brand? And you hear they're the third brand, but they never interact with Raw and SmackDown. They're not a part of Survivor Series this year. You get maybe a few people, one or two people in the Royal Rumble. So it's kind of hard.
And then like last Survivor Series or whatever, 2 years ago, whatever, like they really put NXT over. and then it was like nothing. And it was literally right when like they were feuding with AEW, when they literally cared about the ratings, and now it's like, yeah, we just accept it. It is what it is.
It's exactly what it was.
But like, to me, if you want to make a run at AEW and you're just acting like you just want to go ahead and get that jump, take all those guys that you called up and bring them back to NXT. Ricochet, Aleister Black, like the whole nine, Cesaro, whoever, like bring them in and just make an Ultimate Indie versus AEW. Like that is your only shot, in my opinion.
Well, have you seen that that they're starting a new NXT show? It's basically Evolve.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting because I think that's kind of what we're.
If that's what you do, then you make that your like developmental system.
Well, that's what I think is the plan. Is like,
and it's like NXT is like the main roster, but it's for a different type of audience. Is basically how I guess you would put it. Although the same damn audience watches both, in my opinion.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see kind of who they decide to put on like the Evolve show versus who they put on, because I'm sure the Evolve show is going to be more like the PC people we're talking about that like don't really have the indie name and stuff. But then there's also going to be guys kind of like on the fringe on the indies, like someone like Blake Christian or like Alex Zane, like these guys who like are big names to someone like me that pays attention, but they didn't have the kind of buzz of like an Adam Cole or a Kyle O'Reilly or something when they signed. You know what I mean?
And they're not letting them keep any of their names now. That drives me crazy. Like that was such a smart move when they did that.
Well, it's AEW, dude. Like they can't now.
Well, it just drives me crazy. Like, why are you worried about it? Like, just let them do their thing. And they're already an established brand. Like Taya Valkyrie is already an established brand as that name. If you change her name, you are messing up her money. Like, it's stupid.
And they introduced her on the website. Like, hey, you probably know her as Taya Valkyrie. Like, just want to keep her name then.
Right.
I think she's using her real name, but still, like, that's the name that people know her by. Like, might as well.
For sure. Like, I think Kenta's still pissed to this day that they call him Hideo Itami. Like, he hated that.
Dude, and Samoa Joe got so lucky when they like let it slide for him. He was like the first one where they were, or CM Punk, I guess, really was, but like Samoa Joe, if they imagine what names they would have come up for that guy on their own. Oh my god.
Well, like I don't like the Rascals' new name. The thing is trash. MSK or whatever that is. Like, dude, that and neither one of them have the same name. Like, it's just it's ignorant, in my opinion, that they're acting like whatever they've done previous doesn't matter. And it does to today's fans. These are the same fans that are watching these shows because the internet exists. Like, just
they do that on their own show. Like, when the Retribution crap started, like, these guys were just running wreck on WWE and they weren't signed. Like, we knew that they were with NXT. Like, there was no continuity between, like, it was so confusing when they did that. Like, and Samoa Joe, a guy who was in NXT, has to pretend like he didn't know who they were.
And out of all the guys that you're gonna pick as like the big man, you're gonna pick Donovan Dijak or whatever. Like, what are we doing? Like, and call him T-Bar? Like, and then Mustafa Ali is a high flyer. Like, that's what he does. He is a fan-friendly wrestler that people enjoy watching wrestle. And you're making him a heel, and like, not only that, he has like no pull whatsoever. Like, he just basically looks like a guy who just complains all day, and he's not a threat by any means. Like, that whole thing was just nonsense. And honestly, it really feels like they were trying to make an Antifa for wrestling. Like, what? Why are we doing that?
Yeah, it was weird. Well, and that was also a story that I think they only were able to like if there was fans there. Because, you know, that was a storyline that I think they only kept going with because there was no fans. Because imagine, like, you know, like, because everyone would have been laughing or there would have been no response. Like, because they could just pipe in whatever reaction they wanted, they just kept going with it. But it looks like that's already going to end soon, though. I saw some clips from Raw. Like, Ali is already, like, he's, like, costing them matches. And, like, now, but then he gets upset because, like, he's the reason they're losing. It's, like, it's. I don't know.
If the Thunderdome was created earlier, there would be no Retribution, and you would have never saw that Raw Underground. Like, all that stuff was just because like they had nothing as far as fans. And then once the Thunderdome showed up, all that stuff kind of goes away.
It's funny if you go back and watch WrestleMania last year, like it gives me that weird vibe of like what it felt like to not of the unknown. Like that was one of the first wrestling shows that WWE was making that was going to be like, this is a pay-per-view and this is like what future of wrestling could look like. And there were no fans, there was nothing. It was just like how are they going to pull this off? And like it feels so much different now. Like I just remember mentally just being like, I'm living in the Twilight Zone right now, and like how it's still like going on, but like wrestling is definitely gotten way more used to it. Like the ideas that they were coming up with and stuff, like it was almost like it was a quick fix, and yet they had no long-term plan because they didn't know, and now it's like this is what the long-term plan is what we're watching today. And so I don't know, it's weird. I'm never going to get used to no crowds. I hate it. Impact to me, I can't watch it. I just can't do it.
They've been starting to pipe in crowd noise now,
yeah,
like a little bit on there. So
yeah,
still kind of.
Even if you just had a cardboard cutout or something, but like when you see an empty arena but you hear boos and cheers, like it's just it messes with your mind. You're like, what I hate though is the generic "this is awesome" chants and like stuff like that. Like that is crowd interaction stuff. That is not make believe stuff that you make. Like
I hate when AEW's crowd does it. Like especially like the tape shows where it's just the wrestlers and they start to chant it. You can even feel like there's no energy behind it. So just don't even do it.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. It's been weird. It's been a weird time.
With WWE, with them having control over the crowd and like they can cheer who they want to and boo. Like, what's the point of ever going back to a live crowd for them? Like, they should just run with this.
I agree. Like, to me, this is the perfect way to do whatever they want and nobody can do anything about it. Like, Roman is the biggest star he has ever been, and there are no crowds. And like Roman even said, like the crowd was a way for him to like pivot and not focus, because it's like if he just like was off track or anything, he could just like look at the crowd or say something to the crowd, and then he could catch his balance. He's like, now I really focus and I'm in depth and I make sure that like I deliver everything the way I want to, and it's just like changed it for him. But I agree, like you want to talk about a manufactured product, you take away the fans. It's whatever they want to do, and they're still making money, right? I mean, they're getting their deals, they're getting ratings. Like, I don't know. I hate it. I think that's
yes. It sucks. Yeah, I don't even watch it.
Yeah, it's really bad. it's the worst it's ever been.
Yeah, especially Raw. Raw is trash. Like, and it's so weird to me now that SmackDown is the priority show, because it's never been that way.
When I just always am doing something different on a Friday, not that I'm like super busy all the time, but like that's usually when other things are going on that I'm interested in. So like I don't watch SmackDown, but from what I've seen on the pay-per-views, like Roman Reigns is incredible right now. Daniel Bryan's still great. Kevin Owens looks great. Cesaro looks like he's getting a push. Like it looks like SmackDown has it figured out. But then I watch Raw. Like I usually tune in once every few weeks to kind of keep an eye on what's going on. And I watched this past Monday. There was some stuff that I liked. I like Lashley. I think that it's smart for them to push him, especially if MVP
I haven't
can
watched
talk for him.
anything about the Hurt Business, but it looks like it's getting some guys over. I don't know, but I mean, it looks like they're getting more success than Retribution or whatever.
Well, by far. Like that's the thing is like the Miz the champion right now. I know you know that, but like the Miz, which is like strange. 2021.
Someone posted something on Twitter was saying like you want to make a Smark mad, and it was like Miz holding the title, and I was thinking to myself like, oh, that's Photoshop. Like, how did they do that? Because you could see in the background and stuff. Because I wasn't watching the pay-per-view. And then, like, I saw WWE's official thing. It says, like, Miz is champ. And I was like, oh, my God. You've got to be kidding me.
I had no reaction to it. Like, I saw it because I wasn't watching the pay-per-view either. And right before I went to bed, I went through Twitter and I saw it on there. I'm like, that seems about right for what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I wasn't, like, super pissed. I didn't lose sleep over it. I was just like, damn, we just took a step back here. Like,
how sad is it that, like, people like us who are so invested in wrestling for so long, we're just like
care.
The expectations are so low. We're just like whatever. Yeah, of course it is. Won the title in 2021.
I kind of had an eye-opening experience with my friend Chris because like me, Bill, and Chris, we grew up watching wrestling throughout, like all the time, watched it. And then me and Bill moved away, but Chris, but he didn't want to watch stuff by himself for the most part. And then like I tried to get him into wrestling again, and it was like totally enjoyed AEW. He went to Double or Nothing. Like I took him to New Japan in Dallas. Like he thought it was great. I took him to TNA the next night where it was like Tessa versus Sami Callihan. He thought that was great, but like zero interest in the WWE. And he grew up with the WWE. But it's like we've got to stop treating WWE as like pro wrestling. It's their vision of what they want to show. It's entertainment and it's how they want to present it, but it is not the end all be all. And there are definitely alternatives that if somebody doesn't like WWE, it does not mean they won't like pro wrestling.
It's like when, like now I fight the battle. If someone finds out that I like wrestling, it's like I have to tell them like, I like wrestling, but I don't like WWE. I don't watch that. I watch other stuff.
Right. Just
because they only know WWE is wrestling. So
that's so true.
Like a UFC fan who hasn't watched wrestling in a while could watch some AEW stuff and be like, this is pretty badass. Like this is some good stuff. But then I would also be extremely nervous when like Orange Cassidy is doing like his leg kick or something and be like, yeah, that's good.
Dude, you'd be surprised. Like I've brought before the pandemic really got serious. Like the AEW was here in Atlanta, and that was the Cody and Wardlow in a cage. It was awesome. And I brought like a handful of friends that watched wrestling when we were younger, but don't keep up with it at all anymore. They loved it. They thought Orange Cassidy was because he was like on the outside during like the Battle Royal or something. And they just thought he was funny, and they thought like they loved it. And we saw some AEW Dark also, and like Joey Janela was like going off ladders through tables and stuff. Like, this is awesome. Like what we want. Like the next thing I know, they're asking me when the pay-per-view is, and like I had some buddies over for the next pay-per-view, and like they got right back into it with AEW. And if I showed them Raw, they'd be like, dude, why are you watching this?
Yeah, definitely. Brandon, did you ever get to go to an AEW show?
I went to the first Dynamite.
Okay.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because like I said, we tried for Double or Nothing, couldn't get tickets. Tried for All Out. Obviously, we tried for All In back in 2018. Couldn't get tickets to anything. And then right up in DC, they had the first show. I was like, I have to go to this. And
yeah,
that was an awesome show.
So are you in DC or are you in Chicago? Or
I'm in Virginia.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So about 90-minute drive to DC. Not too bad.
Nice.
That's what's up.
Yeah, we went. Of course, I went to Double or Nothing. It's unbelievable. Had such a great time. And then I went to 2 Dynamites. I went to the one in Dallas and I went to one in Austin. But what's dope about them is that they kind of pick like suburban, like little college towns, like to run. So like all the restaurants are nice. Like it's not in a bad area at all. Like it was a really nice spot. Like the one we stayed in Dallas, it was literally like the hotel was right across the street from the arena or whatever. Like it was they're really nice areas that I've been to when they go. Like they're dope. It's been great both times I went.
Yeah, I definitely look forward to when they start back up and start traveling again. The first show I can get to, I'm gonna try to go to.
Yeah, they got they're supposed to be here June 30th on my birthday, and I'm like, and that's off on a reschedule. The first one was God, it was supposed to be like
that was like probably like a couple of weeks after everything shut down.
Yeah,
they were promoting it on that last show.
Yeah,
it shut down.
So like, yeah, so yeah. But anyways, I'm hoping that still happens, but we'll see about that. But
I was supposed to go to Wrestle Dynasty, the MSG show for New Japan, and that got shut down. I was like,
God,
so, I enjoyed at least the New Japan stuff with G1 Supercard because that was the first show I went to in the Garden, and the stuff with New Japan was awesome. But Ring of Honor, like they couldn't have done a worse job that night.
Oh, dude, the Enzo and Kaz thing was
the whole show. The whole ROH show was. The ladder match was good. I'll give them that, but everything else between
here's another thing too, like TNA has fallen off the map. Don't get me wrong, or Impact or whatever. ROH is just garbage. Like, I can't even stomach it. Like, compared to what it used to be, it is dead. Like,
I hear that it's like I hear the wrestling is good, but there's just zero buzz behind it.
Yeah,
and honestly, what I tell people is like, wrestling can be good, but literally every single company has good wrestling. WWE has good matches; they just have horrible booking. So just because it's a good match doesn't mean I'm going to check it out. Like, it's got to be something else behind it. And they have like no buzz right now.
Yeah, no buzz.
I think it's so underrated. Wrestling needs moments, and like, there's no moments in ROH for a long time. Like, there is just like one that really sticks out to me is like when Kenny Omega kicked Adam Cole out of the Bullet Club, and like Marty debuted, and like said, there's nothing close to that. Like, just flatline.
They booked their whole company around the Elite. That was like, and that was for them. It was the biggest business they've ever done, so it worked for them. But once they left, they had nothing.
But it's wild to me, right? Because like the Elite, like they were starting to draw attention from the casual viewer. Like they got to that point. Like I remember being at like Super Card of Honor for WrestleMania weekend, and there were people there that hadn't watched wrestling in years, and they said the reason I started watching was because of these guys. I found them on YouTube, and I saw everybody have Bullet Club shirts, and like you could tell, and like you would go in their lines, like because like in the Super Card of Honor, they literally have the entire roster wrapped around the building, and you can meet whoever you want to meet, and it's like Kenny, Kota Ibushi, the Elite, and then like all the ROH guys are just chilling, like no lines, just they're ecstatic if one person comes up to them and says hi, and like they're not even worried about you even buying a ticket at the point. They just want to talk to somebody because they're literally doing nothing, because it was like that was their whole company. And I remember we went to a show. It was right after AEW was announced and whatever, and we went to a Houston show, and they booked the building that like TNA Victory Road 2008 was at, like that pay-per-view. And I mean, I swear to God, there was like 150 people in there, and it was the most dead flat energy. And that card, like they had a pretty solid roster still on there. Like Britt Baker was still there. Bully Ray did a surprise appearance. MVP showed up. Bandito was there. Shibata did a meet and greet, and they could barely pull in 150 people. And I knew right then and there they were in trouble. Yeah. And then on top of that, and then I talked to Colt Cabana about it, and he basically said exactly what you said. He's like, they booked their entire company on the Elite, and they're in complete denial that it's over. Like they still think they can run these big venues and all this stuff, and it's like they're embarrassing themselves. And that was before he even signed with AEW. I still thought he was in Ring of Honor, and I was like, Jesus, if he's willing to say this, like they're in bad shape.
Yeah, I really think Tony Khan's going to buy it. That's just a gut feeling, but like they have a lot of talent on. Like it has no buzz, but like Jonathan Gresham, Shane Taylor, Roosh, Bandito, they got good wrestlers there.
What would you think the value in purchasing Ring of Honor
would just absorb all the contract, the library, and absorbing the contracts of the wrestlers you want on AEW?
The one thing about the library, I mean, I definitely understand that, but like most of those wrestlers for like the library that you want. Like the really good stuff, most of those people are in WWE, like Brian and Cesaro and Joe and Kevin Steen, Generico. Like most of those guys are in WWE. I mean, definitely you can get it for like the Elite guys, but you're really only buying like 2 or 3 years worth of the library. And then the contracts, I mean, you can definitely get that, but you can honestly be better with just pickpocketing a couple of guys, and then everyone else just let them go.
That's true.
Tony's not even trying to work with them. He's working with Impact, he's working with NWA, New Japan, but he's not even trying to contact Ring of Honor. So I think there's beef there, honestly, because
there might be
they put in their own money for that All-In show. They helped produce it. They didn't want to give up the rights to it, and I think that's one of the reasons why Tony would buy Ring of Honor is just to get the rights to All-In, because that's really where AEW started.
Right.
And so, like.
Where do you watch that, by the way? Is that New Japan World? Like, who actually owns the All-In, like
Ring of Honor?
Ring of Honor.
Yeah, you can watch it on New Japan World. I ordered it on Fight when it was the one.
Yep, it's still on.
But yeah, they ordered it.
Okay, I got it on Fight as well, but it was also on New Japan World. You're saying?
Yeah, it was because of like Okada and stuff like that, because they were and they were in that joint promotion with New Japan, but like that's done. You can tell that's done. So I don't know. What do y'all think about Marty possibly going to New Japan?
I don't see what the benefit would be. Like, I mean, yeah, you got a talent into the junior division, and honestly, with Hiromu going out, maybe you could use that for sure. But I don't know if the positives on that outweigh the negative. I mean, granted, he's a great talent, but I just don't know if, like, God, the backlash that you're going to get from the fans, is it worth bringing him in because of that? But I just know with New Japan, specifically Japan, they just don't care about this stuff. They just like, there's a talent out here, let's go get them.
Well, it's similar.
It depends. Like if you want to go through with that fan backlash, go out there and get them. But I just don't know if it's worth it. If it were me, I wouldn't do it. But it's not me.
I would do it and laugh in their face, and I would show them all the video packages. Period. Because at the end of the day, like the only way you give people power is by allowing them to get to you. If you just do your thing, they're gonna shut up. They're gonna back down eventually. The problem is that everybody is just going to jump on them at first, and then we'll see if New Japan can stay strong. Because at the end of the day, like they wanted to get rid of Will Ospreay and a bunch of others too. And like, do you know how much that would affect New Japan if they lost Will Ospreay and whoever else was involved in this madness? Like some of it terrible, right? Like Joey Ryan, all that stuff. Like, yeah, but Marty to me is it's a tough one because I don't know all the details on everything, so I'm not here to defend Marty for what he did, but like I just don't believe in like ending the man's career. I think he deserves another shot. Michael Elgin, that guy's had like 10 shots and like just keep screwing up. So
I was to say that's what it really reminds me of is like when Elgin got a lot of heat in the US, people stopped booking him. There were literally fans I remember that were like demanding refunds for indie show tickets that he was advertised for that they were going to go to. Like it was a big mess. He had to give up Glory Pro Wrestling, which was the company that he founded. And when all that happened, now a huge shout out to Kevin Lee Davidson and Danny Adams, because like they took Glory Pro and like it's a really great indie still, and they took it and they've run with it. But during that, it's like what you are saying, New Japan hired him. Like so it was like he just kind of disappeared into New Japan. Wound up getting an Impact contract right after, but then more things happened and he left Impact for like the same reason. So seems to be kind of a track record there.
Yeah, Tessa just needs them to have a women's division. That's it. Otherwise,
for New Japan.
I don't know what the hell she's going to do. I don't know. I mean, she still seems like she's training and preparing, but like
for what?
That's what I'm saying. Like I don't know what her future holds.
I got a question real quick, Brandon. I caught you mention Hiromu's on the way out. Is he hurt or is he leaving New Japan? I have no idea.
Oh, so he's hurt. He's out for like 6 months at least. Yeah.
Damn, always hurt. That's a
bummer. He just gave up the belt last night. So, and which sucks because he was in a really good program with El Fantasma. It's like really, at least for right now, New Japan is like the one thing I've been interested in, other than with Jay White. So it definitely sucked to see that happen, but. Strange, bad luck for him with the injuries.
Yeah, he had that real bad neck one that kept him out like over a year.
Yeah. Well, New Japan guys, they work hurt, so when they go out, like it's something serious.
Yeah. Like my favorite was Shibata, and like yeah,
that's still my favorite. Him and Okada is like my all-time favorite New Japan match.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh man, I miss Shibata so much.
What the hell was that when he attacked Kenta? Like that was such a tease.
Oh, I was like I thought
it was like, well, damn, he got the Daniel Bryan clearance or something.
Yeah, they did it to get Kenta over as a heel.
Yeah.
Which, it would suck. That was such an awesome angle.
It was.
Yeah. And Kenta and Shibata, like, yes, please.
Yeah, it would have been so huge if they would have been able to pull that off.
What do you think of Kenta's New Japan run? It's
been fine. I mean, he's not old school GHC junior champ Kenta, obviously. But I mean, I've enjoyed him. I think his promos, even though they've been in Japanese, I've enjoyed his promos. I haven't been overly wowed by any specific match.
Yeah,
the stuff he's done with like Tanahashi, the stuff he's done with Shingo. even like the night tour matches, I think they've been fine.
I was there for him and Ibushi and Kenta in Dallas, and like just the vibe of him being back was really cool. Like I enjoyed it. I feel like when he went to the Bullet Club is kind of weird. I just don't know how much I love that idea, but like I was such a Kenta fan back in the day. Like when he faced Davey and I saw that live, like that was game changing for me. Like
the Super Card of Honor 4.
Yeah, I couldn't believe like everyone talks about Taker and Sean. Like, dude, I was blown away because I had never seen anything like Ring of Honor live. And like I went to 2 Ring of Honor shows first before I went to WrestleMania. And like the thing that stood out to me more than anything were Ring of Honor. Like after that was over, I was just like, holy crap, like, you know. And I remember Bill and I used to talk crap on Ring of Honor because we were trying to promote TNA.
Definitely so.
Me and Bill were like looking at each other in the car ride home, being like, I think we messed up here. Like we might have really put our foot in our mouth. And
you guys admitted you were wrong though. That was
for sure.
And then like you guys just went full heavy, especially with Bill, just went full heavy with promoting ROH. So that was cool.
Yeah, and then they blocked him because he got pissed that they dropped the feed on Go Fight Live when Kevin Steen lost to Jay Briscoe.
Oh, I remember that.
Bill went off and they blocked him, and he still to this day can't see Ring of Honor post on Twitter, even though he doesn't use Twitter anymore. So, but yeah, he was pissed.
I remember that. I wrote a whole long when I still had Facebook. I wrote a whole long list on their Facebook. Like, dude, like that was like you were happy that you were able to see these shows live because before with like their pay-per-views, they would happen like 3 months before. Yep. You had to wait for them to come on. They came on like 10 p.m. on a Friday night, and you could finally see them live. And like the first couple ones, you stuck with it, especially like that Death Before Dishonor with Seth Rollins or Tyler Black and Davey Richards.
That was so good. I ordered that. I remember that. Oh.
Yeah. That's when Davey was like suicidal. He had just broken up with his fiance and he was taking those freaking suicide dives, like literally
in the crowd. Yeah.
Like hitting his back, like on the back end. It's just like, oh my God.
Basically what Phoenix does now.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I remember I was in college during that because I was working at the school radio station, and some guy I barely knew that I worked with walked up to me completely out of the blue and was like, "Hey man, I heard you like wrestling," and I was like, "Yeah, love it." And he was like, "Dude, my buddy's been telling me about Ring of Honor and how I have to watch this Davey Richards Tyler Black match." So me and him wound up like splitting my pay-per-view and like came over to my apartment. Like I'll never forget that. Like some random stranger was pumped up about that match. It was awesome.
Yeah, I remember too. Like God, they used to do like Davey and Eddie like every damn pay-per-view. Like, Davey and Roderick, Davey and Eddie, like damn. And then they would be like mixed in with little Steen and Generico or something like that. But like, I loved it back then. Me personally though, I think one of the most underrated years was 2016. I think 2016 was amazing for wrestling. Like that was when I saw you, Brandon, at the Dallas. Like I never seen Will Ospreay and Zack Sabre and any of that stuff. I saw Evolve, like I was just like, holy crap. And I went to the Ring of Honor shows. I missed NXT because I was like, I'm going to Ring of Honor and Evolve.
Yeah. We grabbed the NXT ticket like an hour before that show. And some people showed it to us at face value. We're like, yeah, we'll definitely take that.
Yeah.
I went to both Evolve shows. I went to NXT. I went to the Ring of Honor show, the Saturday afternoon show, because it was in the same hotel that we were staying in. What was it, WWN Super Show? The main event.
Yes, yeah.
That's the main event, like the stars that were in that main event.
Crazy.
It was Gargano, it was TJP, it was
Aleister Black.
Aleister Black was in it, Will Ospreay, Kota Ibushi.
Wasn't Marty in it?
I don't know if Marty was in it.
I think Marty was in with the Team UK. I think it was Ospreay, Marty, and Aleister Black versus TJP, Kota, and
Gargano.
I think that's what it was. And then they did that moonsault off the balcony. Yeah. And then like Foley showed up that night too. Like that was a dope show. I think also Chris Hero and Zack Sabre was really underrated on show.
They opened the show that great as well.
I had second row for that. It was amazing. And I'm never gonna forgive myself. Like at the meet and greet, I met Zack Sabre and Ospreay was right next to him. And like I didn't know who Ospreay was, and I didn't meet him, and it would have been like $10. Like I would give 100 right now to meet Ospreay. Like it just drives me crazy that I didn't do that.
Yeah, I got to go to my friend, she had an extra ticket to a random New York Ring of Honor show. So I took the train up for that weekend, and I got to meet him for $10. It was like, dude, yeah. That was the show that the Hardy surprise showed up, and they challenged the Bucks for the titles, and they won.
Okay.
Yeah, crazy show.
God dang it. See, there's stuff like that, man. I just miss so much. I just miss like the meet and greets. Like before this whole thing hit in January, I've been going to Fitterman Sports stuff for meet and greets, and they brought in Moxley, and they bring Mike Tyson. It's where I met Hulk Hogan, like a bunch of people. Well, they decided that they were going to do like the WWE meet and greet for the whole Royal Rumble event. And they rented out like this little warehouse, and it wasn't little, but it wasn't, fan access big. And like, so the first night was Gargano and Lio Rush, and Lio Rush didn't show up, but Gargano was there. So I got to meet Gargano, super nice. And then the next day was when they're all there. Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, Becky, Bray Wyatt, like all of them. And, dude, you want to talk about being like elbow to elbow, like just the most ridiculous, like no space, look like a total fire hazard craziness. And, but I was able to meet Rey Mysterio, Randy Orton, and Becky. And glad I met Becky because who knows when that'll happen. But yeah, it was wild too because they were also doing like the celebrities. So like Dennis Rodman was there, and like
nice.
Lawrence Taylor was there, and I met Dennis Rodman, by the way. Lawrence Taylor was there, and Ralph Macchio was there. Urkel was there. The Saved by the Bell guys were there. Like it was
nice.
it was a dope, fun thing. That's also when we all found out that Kobe died, like right there.
Brutal day.
I can't imagine how that, because I know how big of a fan you were of him. So like that's awful. And what's crazy is like to be around that many people. I mean, there was like probably like 700 people, and we all kind of got the news all at the same time.
It's a weird feeling when you get stuff like that.
And then like everybody's like trying to like check their sources. And then we saw, because like Hakeem Olajuwon was there, and Dennis Rodman was there, and a couple of others were there, and they all take them in the back. Just stop the autograph process completely, and they all take them in the back. And like, I know, then it was like, oh God, like this is real, And then they gave them like an hour, and then they came back out. And then like Dennis, we thought Dennis Rodman might cancel his meet and greet and stuff because he played with him. And we were like, oh man, but he did it, no problems. But you could tell they all were kind of like somber, but it was just the weirdest thing in the world. It was a horrible experience.
Definitely a weird day.
And like, we didn't even know about his daughter either. Like most people didn't know about his daughter. They just knew about Kobe at first. So then like, as more news kept going on, it was like, oh my God, this is terrible. And then literally this is such like shit, but like, it's a sports show, right? So like they have all these autographs displayed. I mean, the moment that these guys found out that Kobe died, they pulled all their autographed Kobe stuff because they knew they weren't going to sell it at that price. And people were like getting fights over it. And it was just, you could see like the evils of men too.
Right.
It's like a weird, sad, greedy, it was a weird experience. But yeah, that was like the last time that I was able to do any wrestling thing. I went to the NXT Worlds Collide show. And then I didn't go to Royal Rumble. Bill ended up going to Royal Rumble. I was so like done with the WWE.
Yeah.
He likes to take his son. So his son thinks it's really cool.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like he wants to take his son to WrestleMania in Dallas. And I'm like, I don't care what you do. Like, it's fine. But like, I'm gonna go to like indie shows and do the whole thing if I'm going. So
hell yeah. I'm planning on going. Like that's what I want to. I'm hearing myself echo. Sorry. I'm good now. But yeah, that's if I go out for that, I'm definitely indie shows. I feel like I got to go to WrestleMania, but I also feel
Have you been before?
Yeah. I've been to I went to 27 in Atlanta, 30 in New Orleans, 33 in Orlando, then 34 in New Orleans again. But so those are the four. But so
I keep going to trash manias, and like y'all keep going to like all these good ones. Like
27 was pretty roasted. That was the Miz and Cena.
Was pretty bad. I've been to 25. I was at 32, which is Dallas, right? Is that correct?
Dallas.
I was at 34 for New Orleans, which was no. And then I was, and then that's it. So, and then if this Dallas one, hopefully it's good, but it probably won't be. And so then that'll be like 4 that then it's okay. Like I would have killed to go to 30.
It was so much fun. I went to 26, 27, 28, 30, and 32. And 30
I would have been to 28 too, just because Rock Cena, like the whole vibe there, that would have been dope.
Dude, 30 was like, it's obviously on a completely different level of like the Kobe thing, of course, but like with WrestleMania 30, it was the kind of that feeling when Undertaker lost that everyone was like looking at each other, like you're like talking to strangers, like what's going on?
It was such a weird vibe when that happened. I mean, obviously, because something like that, it takes such a long time to build up, and it'll never happen again. But just like everyone's like sudden reaction to that, and it's so crazy, man.
Dude, I remember like because they did like a women's tag or something before the main event, like as like the in between. And so it was like Undertaker loses. There was some sort of women's match, and then it was
the women's battle royal.
And and so like
fair to them. So fair.
I remember I like left my seat and I was just like walking around the concessions area, and we were literally just making eye contact with strangers and like consoling each other all. But it was you're right, Brandon. It was like the weirdest vibe.
People thought they didn't think it was real. Like myself, I was like, when the 3 happens, it's like it just happened. You can just hear a murmur.
They didn't ring the bell or make the announcement for a little bit. That's what threw me off. It was like nothing. And then Paul Heyman were celebrating, and I'm like, oh, it's not official yet. And then when they made the announcement, it was like,
it was the graphic.
They put the graphic on there.
Yeah.
Like, you go back and listen, you can hear when everyone sees the graphic.
Yeah.
They just go crazy. Like, oh my God.
Thank God, Daniel Bryan.
I love moments like that in wrestling. That's the type of stuff that like you just can't just recreate. It only happens in certain moments in history, and that's
the one thing about that Mania is the moments, like the opening with the Hogan, Austin, and Rock.
Yeah,
that you have the Undertaker streak coming to an end, and then Daniel Bryan winning. Like those 3 moments were just unbelievable. And that show was all. It was only 7 matches long. Like, I can't even imagine the WrestleMania just 7 matches now.
Dude, and like, thank God, like they gave Daniel Bryan that win at the end of the night, because had he not won that match after we had just seen the Undertaker lose this streak, oh my God, I would have given up.
Yeah. God, dude, I remember 34 just dragged forever. I literally wanted to just leave like midway through. I was like, this is stupid.
That's the main reason I'm not interested in going to La Mania, just specifically because it's going to be too long. Like, I don't want to sit there for 7 hours.
Yeah. No, I feel you. Like, when it got to like AJ Nakamura and like that wasn't any good, then
I didn't deliver.
I need to roll. And then like when they had the kid win the tag title.
Oh, Nicholas, that was so shit.
And then it's like Roman and Brock is your main event. Like, no, like we were already dead tired. Like, these indie shows, they really drain you, especially if you truly decide to do like the full Mania lineup and stuff. And like me and Bill, we literally like drove down there. New Orleans is a 6-hour drive. We drove down there. We got there that day and went to Super Card of Honor that night. And then the next day we went to Mania, and then we just booked it, and then we left the next day after that. Like, we didn't stay for Raw or anything like that. So yeah, it was not what you want as a Mania experience. And then 32, like, it was just a bunch of mess. Like,
nothing happened. Nothing progressed.
And the booking was terrible. Like, everybody that should have like lost won, and like it just made no sense. It just felt like a big waste of time.
Nothing.
These UK guys were just like chanting "F you, Vince" all the way down the escalator, like pissed because that they flew from out of the country to come see this show, and it's like Shane fell off the freaking Hell in the Cell, or the elbow drop off the Hell in the Cell, and then like that became the norm. He started doing that like all the time, and it was just like, okay, like this is not special at all.
Wasn't that the Triple H Roman Reigns main event?
Yeah.
Yeah, no one cared.
Like, people are like booing him out of the building while he's holding his daughter in the middle of the ring and like walking off. Can't stand him. Like if they were gonna, they would risk throwing a soda to hit her in the head if it meant to get to him. Like they didn't care. They hated him.
Don't forget about the dream match with The Rock versus Eric Rowan.
Oh.
All
right.
30 seconds of The Rock's entrance was dope though.
Yeah. Kind of long, but it was cool. But the main thing was like I said, nothing progressed on that show. Like you had this Hell in a Cell match where Shane won, he became control of Raw. He loses, and then the next night he controls Raw.
Right.
Okay, we just watched.
Yeah. And then like AJ lost to Jericho and then became the #1 contender the next night on Raw. Like it was just like, okay. And then like the New Day was hella over and they lost. Like it was so like head scratching.
You got a super chat, by the way. He says, do you think Lesnar was a good choice to end the streak looking back on it? They tried to make him to the new Taker. Like he was going to be like the next like phenom. I think that's
in my opinion, the worst thing that ever happened to Lesnar was Suplex City.
Yeah.
I think it's the worst thing that ever happened. Like it made him such a lazy worker, and he just started relying just on a few power moves. And like, because the old Brock, he would give it his all. And like after he figured out that he could just go out there and throw some suplexes and beat the crap out of people and just bounce, like he was all for it because he could give a crap. So I don't know. I think everyone will be like, well, it should have been Roman or something. But dude, at the time, like people would have freaked if it was Roman. I mean, nuts. And if it was Cena, I think people would have been furious. So
yeah.
The good thing about Brock is no matter what, he's a believable badass, right? So it's like at least like
a legitimate star.
Right. But if you were talking about elevating somebody, then you would probably want to pick somebody else. But
Orton in 05.
Oh, God.
Looking back, I mean,
yes, it makes sense.
Yeah, because my thing is, I'm in the camp of like it should have been Roman, like given like how things wound up playing out.
Yeah,
but I mean
that would make a hell of a promo right now for Paul Heyman with introducing the tribal chief and all that stuff.
Well, it really should have been, if they were going to have him lose at WrestleMania 30, it should have been Bray Wyatt, I think. Because he was super over, and then he lost to Cena at WrestleMania 30. I'll never forget that. But like he was killing it up until that point.
Here's a question though, too. Like, okay, so say fans back at Mania, let's say 30,000 are there. Dude, Roman is going to get a huge ovation. So like all the stuff that they've been doing, like. So let's say that they do these crowds and then they go right back to the dome and then they pipe in this fake sound. Like, it's just going to be so terrible if they pipe in these boos and it's like he is extremely over.
They'll call WrestleMania crowd Bizarro Land. Like
yeah, exactly.
Like they're in Canada.
To New York or Philly or whatever. And Jerry Lawler like, we're in Bizarro World.
Toronto.
Yeah, exactly.
You had a super chat like way earlier that I think we missed. It was like UFC related one, but it was, I think I remember, it was just like, I think it was just something along the lines of like, do we think there's a UFC division that's more stacked than lightweight?
I got it. It's from Sean. He says, best UFC weight class. Is it for sure lightweight? If not, which can you make the case for? So
I would say, oh, sorry, go ahead, Doug.
So, I think lightweight necessarily is maybe not even the best. I think it's the most star-studded.
Yeah, most stars in it.
But I don't know about, like, talent-wise it's the best.
I think right now featherweight is really stacked. Because you got Volkanovski, Holloway, Ortega, Zabit, Yair, Korean Zombie, Cater, Emmett, Stevens. Like I'm just going down the top 10 right now. Dan Ige is number 9. He's solid. I mean, that they got a really damn solid top 10 there, I think.
Yeah.
And most of them are young.
A 170 would look way more stacked if Usman hadn't beat everybody. Like he's starting to get to that John Jones's type level to where like he's going to destroy the division. Like he's beat a lot of guys already.
Yeah, I think he's going to destroy Masvidal if they rematch. I don't think it's going to even be close.
I don't like the fight.
I want to see like if Khabib,
yeah,
if they run it back, yeah. I mean, I want to if Khabib's gonna fight again, and like GSP is not gonna come back, and they're not gonna do Khabib and Oliveira because it doesn't seem like Khabib's interested in fighting Oliveira. Like, I don't see the problem. I know Khabib said he doesn't want to fight at welterweight, but like
this is what I don't like about the whole Khabib thing. We don't need him.
No, I'm just saying, like, if Usman's cleaning out the division and Khabib wants a challenge, like that's a matchup for me that I'm interested in is Khabib and Usman because both wrestling, like that's interesting to me to see who can stop who.
But see, I don't think that Khabib, like the way that Dana likes to present it is like, oh, he's looking for a challenge and all this stuff. Like, I don't think he's sitting there waiting for a guy to be like,
either do I.
Who's a top guy that looks like who could beat me? Like, I don't think he cares because let's be honest, he's taken some easier fights in the past. Like, not all of his stuff. He just started recently facing some real killers, but like some of his 20 wins are some not so. It's not the elite of the elite. So
Floyd Mayweather-ish.
Yeah.
So it's we'll see, but like I don't know. Usman, I just think that to me it's Chimaev is really like the guy that we need to see if he's the real deal or not. Like, and he sounds like he's really struggling, so I have no idea what's happening.
I have a question. The Observer Awards come out tonight.
Okay.
I'm curious who you guys have. I can run a couple of these for you, but mainly the most valuable for mixed martial arts. Who do you guys have in 2020?
Most valuable?
Yeah, like 2019 they had Jorge.
Okay. That made sense. That made sense for
Star
last year.
Power, box office.
Okay.
Like overall, like who would you guys have in 2020?
It damn sure isn't Connor.
Sure, yeah.
It might probably
maybe it could be box office for sure, but not most valuable.
I probably maybe Izzy. He's someone I think is in the conversation. I mean, we've had some title fights. Like his star power definitely rose over the year.
Yeah.
Stipe again, maybe, but he only fought the one time right against DC, but like that was pretty big. But
like 2020 was such a random.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I'm thinking.
Like the one core guy, but like the Fight Island thing happened, and then like this other, then like Stipe defended his title, and like there was stuff like that, but like there wasn't just one guy. If you want to talk about like just like domination, in my opinion, that did really well was Kevin Holland. I thought that guy, like not star power wise though, but like the dude fought like 5 times and won, and like kept elevating himself when he fought. But damn.
Do they have nominees on there, Brandon?
Yeah. No, so basically like the all the readers, like I sent my stuff in, like all the readers basically just vote on all the awards. Like they've already spoiled the wrestler of the year and they're gonna give it to Moxley.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I mean, how because I heard Tony Khan talk about Moxley, and he talks about Moxley like he's easily one of the best wrestlers in the world. Do you guys view him that way?
In the total package sense, yes, because his promo ability is so like far above a lot of people in the business.
Yeah.
But if you just strip that away and you're just talking about in ring,
yeah,
like, I'm not gonna have him as like the best wrestler in the world. No, like you're gonna have like your most overall, but then I guess like you could have like a most outstanding wrestler. Like 2019, I wouldn't have had Will Ospreay as my wrestler of the year, but most outstanding, like the guy, like bell to bell, who's gonna be the best guy would have been Will Ospreay.
Right.
Yeah.
So bell to bell, I'm not gonna have him. I'm not gonna have Moxley in there for sure.
Was it Adam Cole last year?
For what? For most outstanding?
Yeah, best wrestler of the year, whatever.
Most outstanding was Will Ospreay last year.
Okay.
Yeah, Kenny Omega the year before.
See, I think Adam Cole really was right up there because he was good everywhere and he was having great matches all the way around. But I'm a big Ospreay mark, so I'm all for him too. What do you think of his new gimmick, by the way?
I haven't seen enough of it. Sorry, go ahead, Brad. I haven't seen enough of it to make an opinion.
I mean, it's interesting, the whole empire that they have there, and
I
mean, it's an interesting mix of people with Jeff Cobb.
Yes.
I didn't know Jeff Cobb was as old as he is.
I did. How old is he?
Like 38. Like I didn't know that. Like, I watched
Bloodsport. These guys are getting way too get them going when it just starts to get.
I watched Bloodsport last weekend, and they showed like the match graphic, and Filthy Tom is younger than Jeff Cobb. I was like, that doesn't even make sense. Like that doesn't compute with me at all.
The only thing is, I guess, because Cobb had that Olympic career beforehand, that like we kind of like Henry Cejudo, like we don't consider like. Well, we do, but you know what I mean? People that see his MMA career, they're like, he didn't fight for very long, but it's like, well, he was an amateur wrestler his entire life. I mean, but by the way, Bloodsport ruled. Like, that's another reason why I will always put Moxley in these kind of conversations, because if you're going to look at like the overall package between like what he brings to the table, but on top of like he carried AEW, I mean, he didn't carry, but you know what I mean? He was a great champion for AEW, good long-term champion. It meant a lot when Omega beat him for the belt. But he also pops in at stuff like Bloodsport when like he doesn't have to be doing this stuff. He does it because he loves it. And I thought his fight with Davey Boy Jr. was awesome.
It's definitely interesting. It was the first time I watched the Bloodsport. I've always wanted to check it out. It's definitely interesting.
Yeah, it's like Raw Underground, but
it almost looks cinematic to me. Like because the way like they did the lighting and like the way that there was no crowds and just kind of like they just met like down there and it looked like they're fighting in a basement. Like I didn't watch the whole match, so I'm not going to crap on it or anything. But like it just kind of was like, I don't know. Like
I like the fact they didn't waste any time on that show. Like it was like match to match to match. It was through. Like I like that.
Yeah, it was. It's like what Raw Underground tried to do.
I love video packages for the past. So like if I'm going back and watching like a show like 10 years ago, and like I don't necessarily remember how they got to where they got on Raw or SmackDown or something, it's great to have that video package there to revisit that and be like, oh yeah, okay, that's why they were feuding, or that makes sense. So I'm a fan of that though.
Well, that's the whole reason why like I don't feel like I need to watch Raw or SmackDown. If I watch the pay-per-view, they explain it all to me before the match.
The thing too, like I saw Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns build up before the match for Royal Rumble, and I was like, damn, this stuff's pretty good. Like I haven't been watching any of SmackDown. I have no idea what's going on, but I was like, this is pretty good.
That's the one thing they'll always exceed in. It's just like their video packages.
Yeah. 100%.
I do love the fact that Tony's like basically buying a song for a pay-per-view every single time. I do like that. It makes the pay-per-view feel special. Man, I'm getting really sick and tired of seeing Daly's Place, though. Like, I understand why they do it, and I'm not complaining.
The one thing that they need to stop is freaking Jericho's entrance. They have to stop making it. Like, you're going to ruin it for when the crowd comes back.
I agree.
Like, I just can't stand him. Like, when there's no crowd and he's just standing in the ring, like, smiling at the crowd, like, singing my song. Like, yeah, dude, we've been singing the song for months now.
Like when it first kicked off, there were people singing along to that song. Like it's a song that makes you want to sing along to it. But yeah, I agree. I can't wait for Jungle Boy's entrance music with the crowd. Like I think that place is going to just go bananas. Like I think it's going to be great.
That's the best example of like Tony Khan, like that and him buying the music for Brody Lee's tribute and stuff. Like I love that he's willing to shell out the money for like what he knows is right for the business and what's right for the fans. I think it's awesome. Like Jungle Boy, because he used that music on the Indies, and like,
oh, he did.
Like, yeah, that was like a pretty cool. Because so Tony Khan either knew that or someone clued him in on it, but he bought it for like the Christmas present.
I think it was Janela. I think that's what he said. Janela had told him that
makes sense.
He was on there.
That makes sense. Janela's the one who put him on the map, put Jungle Boy on the map.
Good old Janela.
I love the guy. I know me and you differ on that, but I'm a big fan of his. I love what he's done for the Indies.
I don't think Janela. Totally, I just think he belongs in the Indies. That's what.
But he still does that. Like he's still out there on the Indies. And he's doing a lot with GCW still.
Brandon, what's your thoughts on this? Because this is what I think. I think AEW's totally got to cut some bait here. Like there's just way too many wrestlers there.
I'll be back in just 1 second. Sorry.
I think they can improve their roster by signing other people than the people that they have and make them look more legit.
Who would you? I could pull up the roster really quick, but who off the top of your head, other than like Janela, who would you cut?
Frankie Avalon or whatever, the librarian guy.
Oh, Peter Avalon. Now, like with me, like I always feel like you need to have those jobbers in there who are specifically going to lose.
But see,
like you need to have those guys.
They're literally bringing in jobbers, like people we've never seen on TV before, and they're bringing them in to lose, like to Moxley's, like,
so like Dolph's brother.
Yeah. Overacting is ridiculous. Like when he got choked out, that was the most nonsense look. He looked ridiculous. Sean Spears, I think he can go. Kip Sabian, nice guy. I just don't.
I want to believe in him, but yeah, he just.
It's not clicking. Something's not there. It's not working. But not only that, like, what would you give up for someone like, let's say, an Ethan Page, which I think he's going there, by the way.
I don't know if I would give up anybody for Ethan Page. I would just try to find a spot for him. Like, I don't think Ethan Page is a guy that you need to give someone up for. But if you have like
sheer numbers, there's so many people they have
for sure. But they're gonna that new show that they're gonna have where they're splitting Dark, which is fine. Yeah. I know a lot of people don't watch Dark. So I watch Dark each week, but I treat it more like a podcast.
Okay.
So I'm sitting here doing admin work for work. I literally just turn it on and I just listen to Taz and Excalibur commentate. But I won't sit there and actually, full on watch the matches and everything. You can't do that.
Put something over, you'll check it out, see what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. But they're going to split that show up, which is good, and they're going to start having almost like superstars, where you have like your main roster guys come in there and squash people. And then the other show, which will be like an actual developmental show. So, you're going to start to have those guys on there. But, I mean, like Luther.
Oh, my God, get him going. And the only reason that he's there is because of Jericho. Yeah. And like, dude, Jericho did Talk is Jericho with the guy that's doing AEW figures. And I swear to God, he was like, well, a guy that is really like, looks like he could have an awesome action figure is Luther. And I'm just like, bro, like, what is between you and Luther? What do you owe this man?
It's like Jericho is Hogan, and Luther is
the disciple.
Brutus.
Beefcake.
Yeah.
With way less credibility. Like, I've never heard of Luther in my life, and I've watched wrestling like all my life. Like, where is this guy from? What has he done? How does Jericho know him? Like, the guy can barely move.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny how he kind of defended it too on social media at one point, where he basically said if this is all nepotism, wouldn't I have been working for WWE for the last 20 years if it was just because I'm friends with Jericho? And it's like, well, no, this is totally a different thing with AEW. Like, Jericho has all the pull in the world with AEW. Like, he can bring in whoever.
Vince would not employ that man. Hey, he would not get a job there. I don't care if he's friends with Jericho or not. And part of me that's my concern right now with Tony Khan. Can you be a boss? Can you say, you suck, you got to go? Or are you just going to be the friend?
I think you'll really see that once things cool down with the pandemic and things are getting normal. Okay, you were being nice, and that's really cool that you were giving guys a chance, but now, let's get rid of some of this dead weight.
Because you were talking about the Cody Open Challenge, and he was saying, guys were recommending stuff to him and whatever. And he was basically saying, I only liked Ricky Starks and Eddie Kingston. Those
you
were
can tell he bought Warhorse in just because probably Cody said so, and then the fans were rooting for it. But he's like, okay, we'll bring him in, but that's it. After we're done,
Pineapple Pete and all that other stuff. And how did Pineapple Pete get a match with Jericho?
Dude, he's been wrestling forever too. That's what people don't realize. Sugar Dunkerton was around for forever.
Sugar Dumpton. What?
Sugar Dunkerton. That's Sugar D. It's Pineapple Pete / Dunkerton / He's still on the indies right now. He wrestles for Action Wrestling every weekend. But his gimmick now though is that he's bitter because AEW did that to him. So he's actually been a pretty great character lately. He had a good little feud match with Anthony Henry and stuff right before Henry signed. But then again, I also know not most people are going to be paying attention to like these random indie shows that I watch. You know what I mean? So like, but I don't know, man. I'm with y'all though. I think the pandemic's part of it too. Like they just don't want to let go of certain people like right now, and that was such a bad look for the WWE when they did it.
Back on storylines too. I think they're just trying to buy time. I think that they wanted to go with Adam Page. Dude, I swear to you, Adam Page was so over before this thing hit. Like he was on his way, and now I just it's gonna be a bit to build him back up. The blood and guts thing, and now that the whole New Japan thing is opened up. By the way, Brandon, how opened up do you think that is?
Like, I think it's
be on Wrestle Kingdom.
I think it's open as much as it can be without being able to travel back and forth.
Right.
So that's why, like when Kenta, because he lives in Florida, that's why you're going to see stuff like that. But once things start to open back up, I think you're going to start to see like Okada, like on a couple episodes of Dynamite. So
how dope would it be when Kenny talks about how great he is and nobody can stop him or nothing, and just freaking Okada just comes out like with a full crowd.
Right.
That would just be.
I just really hope, like in I mean, you're probably not gonna get it this year, but like 2022. Like I know a lot of people want to have like the war type of show, like the New Japan versus AEW. I don't even need that. I would just like to have like a wrestling summit show where you have AEW, New Japan, Impact, whatever, Ring of Honor, whoever, and they all put like their own showcase matches together and just have like one big show. Like that's what I want to see.
Yeah,
I really think that we could probably head towards that probably in the next year.
Do you think though that it would just kind of help though, like if you borrowed a couple of guys for big matches for their pay-per-view and then vice versa? So like, you brought in Ospreay for whatever, and then you bring in Omega for Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I think that would be dope too.
I think it mainly if you can get like, hey, let's send Top Flight or a Private Party over to New Japan, let them work a couple of tours with the guys over there.
Send Miro's ass to New Japan. Let that guy learn how to really work and be a monster. Like let him have one match with Ishii, and then maybe his whole idea of wrestling will change. I don't know. That guy's he is not. I just think he was so burned out. He was just looking to have fun, but it's not doing him any favors in the long run.
Right.
Yeah. He's one of the guys that I like. He does nothing for me in AEW. He really doesn't. I think the thing with him and Sabian and all that's just, I think Penelope Ford, I've said it before, I think Penelope Ford's the most valuable of those three to that company by far. Like,
Kogan has one that Matt Seidel, like that.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Like, I like Seidel, but it's not like he's like needed for.
He looks washed. He really does. Like,
the problem for him is that all the stuff that made him impressive before, everyone just does now. Like everyone does a shooting star press now. Everyone like it's like it's just kind of past him.
Did that since he fell, right?
I don't. Well, you saw his brother botched on their match on Dynamite together. They did a tag match, and his brother screwed something up off the top rope. It was like, oh, they just can't catch a break. I mean, I'm a fan too. It's just I just don't. I don't think the best thing for Matt Seidel is probably his brother being on the show, because at least they can have some tag team matches, because I don't see like a push coming from Matt Seidel as a singles guy in AEW.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like Impact could use some of these guys. So spread the wealth. But then it's weird now if everybody's gonna be working together. You know what I mean? So I like Kenny with the Good Brothers. I think that's a cool concept. It looks good. It's Bullet Club reminisce. Like I think it's cool how they've done it. But like I don't know how much more they're gonna go with it. Because I mean, if they want to, they totally could do Bullet Club versus Bullet Club.
I think that's where you could definitely go in that faction. I mean, obviously, you would need things a little bit more open, but I mean, you definitely go in that route. That
could be your next Blood and Guts. Is Bullet versus Bullet Club.
Yeah, that's. I know you said that a couple days ago about that. I totally like that. That should be the Blood and Guts. Would be Bullet Club, and then but you got it. The way that I'm looking at it too is like I really think this is a long-term partnership. There's no way with the people involved in this, they don't already have like a big Omega Ibushi, like New Japan versus AEW, like title versus title, something or other, like a year from now. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they're really going to have to build towards something big like that. But like you were saying, Doug, like with Hangman, I think this is all kind of calculated. Like it's the story is that he is down in the dumps and he's a loser now, and like there's only friends with the Dark Order, but like a year from now, if he's the one who takes out Kenny, like after Kenny's gone out and like won all these belts, and Hangman kicks out of the one-winged angel or something, and like now it's all back. Like it's all like he's good to go. But I think that is the story, is like him hitting his rock bottom and then building back up.
Here's the thing. I think they've got slow build for Hangman and MJF.
Yeah. Oh, MJF's going to be the world champion.
Like, Hangman has to win first, and then MJF would have to win.
Yep.
In my opinion.
I'm totally fine with that. That's all.
Like after this run with Kenny, like this is it. Like at him being the guy, like once he loses the title, I just don't know if he's going to be that guy anymore.
I don't know. You're going to have that. I mean, Cody says he only wants to wrestle till he's 40. He's like 36 or whatever now. I mean, like, but that's the thing is they're going out and they're getting all this great young talent. And I don't think the people in charge are selfish. Like, I think that Kenny's going to put over these next guys. Cody's going to put over these next guys. But
in the first year, they weren't selfish.
The problem was
right.
They were not selfish to a certain extent. Like they were so willing to put everybody over, but the whole reason AEW existed is because of them. Like, people wanted to see them be in the big matches and not just job out. So I hate that gimmick where Cody can't challenge for the title. I think it's stupid.
But Cody Rhodes has never challenged for the title.
Oh,
I don't know if they're gonna go with that.
I hope they don't either. That's a really lame cop out, but I'm just saying.
It's a lame cop out, but I could see that happening. I really could.
Yeah. I mean, you can't imagine he'll never challenge for the world title again. There's got to be some sort of way around that. Like, you know. What about Sting? Sting is AEW champion. What do you think about that?
I hope not.
I know. I either do. I'm just throwing that out there.
Why I stopped watching TNA.
There you go. It'll kill you.
What's really bothering me though is people are acting like this is TNA all over again, and I really don't feel that way.
No, I don't either.
But you have to be careful with how many older talent you bring in. Like,
that's another
go crazy with it.
Who else could possibly come?
That AEW would like be really interested in. That's really the
because I would have never thought that they would want to Sting. I'd have never thought that they would really be that interested in Big Show. So like,
I don't see like a Bully Ray or anybody show up in there.
I'm worried to go the angle route. I really think that could happen.
Me too. Anybody who went out on the WWE on a sour note has a chance of showing up in the AEW, I think. Like Sting went out on that Rollins match. Like you don't want that to happen. Angle went off on that loss to Corbin. Like that made no sense. Like, it's going to give these guys that last. You just don't want it to become an Undertaker situation where they're chasing the dragon.
If Kurt can somehow get really fit and handle the beating and whatever for one match, like do a Taker thing where he trains for an entire year for one match, him and Kenny Omega, I would be all for. I would watch that for sure.
Yeah, my thing is if people are like a lot of people aren't cool with Sting wrestling, but I'm like, the guy hasn't wrestled in like 6 years. For all I know, he's been doing nothing but stem cells, HGH, like rehab. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Daniel Bryan was never supposed to wrestle again. Christian was never supposed to wrestle again. Edge was never. And I get Sting's older, but it's still like, if his neck's healed, it's healed.
Edge went 52 minutes in the Royal Rumble and is going to headline WrestleMania at 46 years old.
Yeah.
Some of those guys got to thank Tony Khan for getting them huge checks. Like Edge has to be like, hey man, thanks for coming to the table because you just got me paid like crazy.
How crazy would it have been if Edge would have went to AEW?
Because that was the thing, right? Like
that would have been wild.
That was a talk though about that, wasn't there? Before he came back and like the WWE started. Yeah, he was talking to AEW. Yeah,
they would have signed him if AEW didn't exist.
Daniel Bryan probably wouldn't have gotten cleared. He got cleared like right when like All Out or All In happened, right? It was like they were adamant against it. Then it's like his contract's running up. There's
All In was picked on that date so Daniel Bryan could show up. Like I think a lot of people were convinced that was going to happen.
Yeah, and then they cleared him right when there was like the chance of him wrestling somewhere else.
Mysterio got a big check because AEW wanted him.
Yeah.
Yep. He was at All In. I forgot about that. Yep.
I hate that he went to the WWE because his stuff outside of it was so much better, and like he could have been like that Jericho legend, have pay-per-view matches with Phoenix and a bunch of other guys. Like I think he would have been dope for AEW.
I think with him, he just with Dominic, that's probably like his whole thing. Like, I'm gonna make sure we can get him in the system. But honestly, he probably would have done well with QT Marshall at his gym, just learning with him.
Yeah,
the PC
for sure. And like, yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about that. But like, I think it's funny too because it's like the backstage politics and stuff. He's like at the point where it's like, I want to be back there to see how they treat you because I promise you they treat him way differently if Ray's actually in the company.
Well, yeah, I'm sure. That's kind of shitty. People have to consider that, like with the WWE, like if they leave but they have a relative there, because I think that's a big thing with Nia Jax, like why she never gets punished or like anything. Like she just goes out there and hurts all these women. It's like, do you want to punish her and piss off Roman Reigns, the Usos, The Rock, the whole family?
They'll get over it, whatever.
Well, no, I'm saying personally, like something I like. It's baffling to me watching her like punch Becky in the face and slam these chicks like head first into stuff and like just nothing happens. But then I think about that side of it and I'm like, yeah, they're probably not trying to piss The Rock off, so they just don't do anything about it.
Yeah, I don't know. She is so not ready for her spot, like, and may never be. Like, no. But like nothing in WWE like really affects me now. It's just it is what it is.
You don't care anymore. Just like with me, I don't care. It's like, oh, whatever.
And when I watch, my expectations are so low going into it. Like if anything even okay happens, I'm like, okay, great. But I'm expecting it to suck going into it. So.
Like that was actually pretty good. I didn't expect that. Okay, but like I'll watch it if I hear it's good or if someone says, this has been good, check it out or whatever. But like I'm not. You can make whoever you want champion. You can design the belt any way you want. Like whatever. I don't care. It's so corporate and what they want it to be. With now even the fact that they can manufacture the audience reactions, like it's just so boring and bland.
It's looking like this network transition might be a disaster.
What's up?
This network,
like they announced a date. Now they're kind of like, you can still be on the WWE network actually because we can't get everything transferred over.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah, because they're saying now you can watch the pay-per-view on both, right?
It was just Peacock before, right? Or WrestleMania was supposed to be just before.
Well, it was supposed to start with this next Fastlane, I think. It was supposed to start with Peacock.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But that probably makes sense that they're really going to they're going to hope everything's working by the time it gets to WrestleMania time. But like, that's the weirdest thing to me too, because how can you tell, like if you're Peacock, that the WWE, like it's working for you for subscribers?
I don't think you can, because at first what I thought was going to happen, it was that they were just going to integrate everybody that was with the network over to Peacock.
Yeah,
but I don't think that's going to happen. I think you have to physically be able to sign up for Peacock. You're going to have so many people who just let their network subscription just go without them knowing. It's just going to lapse over, and they're not going to move over to Peacock at all.
I agree. It's and I mean Peacock's okay, but there's nothing there that's like really makes you want to join.
No,
I gave it a shot with that Saved by the Bell. All right.
I watched about 10 minutes of that first episode for nostalgia. Then I couldn't. I
got through. I don't know. I think it was like 8 episodes. I got through like 5 of them, and I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. So
I finished the whole season. I watched like 6 straight, and then I didn't watch anything for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then I finished it out. But like it was,
I figured I would finish it once I signed up for the month for WrestleMania, just to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
They really should have. I can't believe I can't believe they didn't set it up to where it would just your subscription would just like absorb into Peacock, because that is going to be a disaster. Like for people to like have to.
They're thinking they can watch WrestleMania on the network, and they're where's the network, and they don't even know, and they're like scrambling looking to see what they got to do to watch. Oh my god!
I love the network. I don't watch the current stuff, but for that archive, man. I love it. And the fact that they've separated, I mean, over the years, they've separated all shows into like every single segment, not just the matches, but the segments as well. I don't think that stuff is going to come over with Peacock. I don't know if they do that with Peacock, if they have like chapters and whatnot, but like that's something I'm super going to miss.
Yeah. And see, I don't think a lot of people really think about that stuff. And then I just think once they actually see it on there, they're going to be like,
probably like honestly, like out of every like 10 subscribers, like 8 of them are just up there for the shows, like the monthly shows. So they don't watch the archive stuff. But I'm on there 4 or 5 times a week going through that stuff. And like I said, the fact that you can just go to like every single segment that you want to, I just don't see that stuff transferring over. It's going to be a big bummer.
Care that if people view it as a success or not a success, dude, the network was such a game changer. Like, it was so amazing when I couldn't believe they pulled it off. But I'm very curious to see like what kind of buy rate they would get if they just stopped having networks and made people pay for pay-per-views.
It would be so low at this point, especially with people like being used to spending $10 for it. Right. Like,
they've destroyed their pay-per-view. That's why I hate it, because like AEW gives you 4 pay-per-views a year, $50. Everyone, it was $10 for WWE. Well, like you're getting a $10 a show worth $10 on there.
Exactly.
Like they absolutely destroy their pay-per-view model. So it makes I don't know why they didn't go back to that, honestly.
But see, and now too, manufactured crowds,
right?
And now you can't hold them accountable for how bad their shows are because you're already with Peacock. Like Peacock already has their subscribers; they have no idea that you're there for WWE. WWE's already made the money, so you have manufactured crowds, and like you can't vote with your dollars because at the end of the day, like Peacock has already paid them. So it's like, for WWE, this is perfect.
A lot of people never voted with their dollars anyway, because like I always find it funny that the people who boycotted the Saudi Arabia shows, like I'm not going to watch Crown Jewel. I'm like, well, you paid $10 either way.
Right.
So, like they don't care if you watch it or not. You gave them your money.
Right.
Like if you start the boycott, you stop the subscription, but you can pay $10. You might as well watch the show.
Yeah,
it's like people who burn the jerseys of people who leave their teams, and like, well, Nike and Reebok don't care. You already bought the jersey.
And neither does the player.
Neither does the player. They got the royalty check on it.
Hope you go buy the new one. So no, I agree. But it's just there's no even hashtag cancel network, whatever. Like there's nothing. You can't do anything but just say, okay, whatever. That's why I say, like, at the end of the day, just accept them for who they are. Know what they are, and don't take it personal when they go the way that you don't want them to. Because this is how they operate. This is how they do business. And if you've been a fan long enough, you should know that. And it's going to have its ups and downs at the end of the day. Like, and most wrestling companies will. I don't care who it is, who's in charge. There's always going to be stuff that's going to be stupid. You just can't avoid it.
That's what's so great about now is like there's so much alternative that like anyone who's hate watching WWE every week, and like I get it if you're like paid to like report on it or whatever and you have to watch Raw and you don't like it, I get that, but like if you hate Raw, then but you still like pro wrestling, I mean there's just so many options out there that like you can still get your wrestling fix without having to hate watch Raw, you know what I mean?
And even WWE, they said they don't consider wrestling as entertainment, whatever. Like, there's way better entertainment options out there to watch versus Raw. Like, why don't you go on Disney Plus and watch something or wherever? Like, don't waste your time watching that you don't want with Raw.
Like, people watch YouTube more than they're watching movies right now. Like, it's wild that you can literally pick whatever Twitch, whatever you want to do, video games, like you really have to do something to separate people from these type of entertainment. Otherwise, it's never going to work. Like, you're going to always just have like a niche audience that's going to be in and out. Like, I can't stand when people are like, oh, it's never going to go back to the old days. Like, you never had any of this stuff during the Attitude Era. You know what I mean? Like, and not only that, we didn't know the results. We didn't read the internet, the dirt sheets, the spoilers. Like, I didn't know a lot. Like, I would maybe like the internet was starting to kind of come around towards the tail end of WCW. I remember looking up the identity of Rikishi because I could have swore it was Yokozuna.
Pretty close, pretty related.
And people were like saying it's Rikishi, and I'm like, no, that's Yokozuna. You know what I mean? And then like stuff like that. And I remember like I was reading like a thing about like the Warrior possibly coming to WCW, but I had no idea that was legit. I had no idea when he was actually going to show up. Like it's just a different era. And not only that, I didn't know all the ways of how a match works, and I didn't watch RF videos and hear these guys break down their careers in 6 hours. Like it's just changed, and you just have to respect it for what it is now. And like I think so much of it is just people can't let go of their childhood. They just can't. And they think that your childhood, the way you felt about something, should still be able to reflect in how you feel in 2021. And like, the world's changed, life's changed. There's just so much more different things that have happened. So,
it's like what we talked about it before. It's just like with the WWE specifically, they put out such a wide net. They're trying to appeal to like 8-year-old girls, but also like 50-year-old men and like everything in between. And what it's doing at the expense of like our demographic fans like us who grew up fans, who are hardcore wrestling fans like that. If we find good wrestling we like, we're going to support it. But they're just ignoring what we want, basically. So it's like, okay, well, AEW is giving it to me. So it's the same thing that you guys were always talking about with TNA. It's like, it's the same kind of thing. WWE is not giving me the product that they used to. It's for different people now. And Impact at the time was giving you the fix. And now AEW does it for me. The indies do it for me. Right. When New Japan has a big show, I check it out. Like, the only reason I don't pay attention to New Japan as much as I did is because of like the almost the accessibility. Like I used to have New Japan World, and then it kind of hit a lull, so I stopped subscribing. But then I'll subscribe on Wrestle Kingdom again, so I kind of go in like waves with it. But
I've always had New Japan World, and I've learned to navigate through it. But it's just ridiculous. They still don't have an app. Like, they have an app that's like fire, but like it's
trash.
It's functional. It's the best thing I could say. Like it works, but you can't really do much with it.
And how the hell are you going to sign a deal with Roku and not have an app?
Right.
That's kind of crazy. And some of the search stuff was kind of weird. Like searching for certain matches and people, and like it just wouldn't find the stuff I was looking for sometimes. But that all being said, it's like that's my whole kind of point, I guess, is like I get upset with people that do nothing but complain about the WWE. Like I complain about it when I'm asked about it, but like it's so easy for me just to not pay attention and just watch something else.
I got tired of complaining about it. I'm like, why am I wasting my energy on this when there's other stuff out there I could be watching?
Yeah. Now, if WWE was the only pro wrestling style show in the world and that was the only thing we could watch, then I'd probably complain a lot because it's like I don't want to not watch wrestling anymore, but I got options now. So
that's what I hated about Jim Ross back in the day. Like I would, you always complain like, just change the channel, folks. I'm like, dude. That's such a lazy ass like excuse. Like, do better. How about that? But like,
trust me. Like, I'd love for the WWE to be interesting and successful, and like, I would love to be able to see. That's the thing. Now I can get excited about watching wrestling on Mondays again because AEW is going to have a 1-hour show at 7 p.m. So it's like, cool. I got wrestling on Mondays again. I can look forward to, and maybe
I would love that the top dog in wrestling were great. Like I would absolutely love that. It would be great, especially when there's so many of my favorites that are there. Like I don't care to even watch their matches anymore, but I would love to go back and watch their matches if they were great.
Yes, for sure.
Exactly.
I hate when I like somebody and they sign with the WWE because then it's just like you're like, oh man, it's over. Like you just know that like you're happy for them though. Because they made it, right? And they got paid and everything. And so, but it's just such a not great feeling because you're just like, that they're going into this corporate structure and like they only like certain people and it's not going to work. And so it is what it is. And what I hate most of all, a lot of these guys get pushed up front and then like you feel good about it and you're like, yes. And then they get just destroyed in the middle.
Like, I mean, something will happen where
if you saw what happened with Ricochet and NXT, felt good. when he first showed up in Raw. He became U.S. champion. You know, and I mean, now he is a nobody, a nothing, and happy about it too. That's what drives me crazy. These guys are just like
I'm happy to be here, type of guys.
Yeah, that's the whole roster. Is I'm happy to be here, guys. At this point, it feels like who could have imagined Kevin Steen would just be like, I'm a happy to be here kind of guy, you know?
Dude, when he thanked the Ring Crew video the other day, and it made me so sick. I'm like, dude, like it's a nice gesture, but you're Kevin Steen, man. Like, come on, like I think that's the problem too. Is these guys like, man, we didn't see Stone Cold on social media. We didn't see these guys were definitely larger than life, and now it's like you see them post their real names and talk about like their family and their heel, and it's just a different dynamic.
That's all celebrities now, though, right? Like that's everyone just seems normal now to me. I feel like the aura of like being larger than life just kind of like I'm sure there's some people out there I get that feeling from, but most it just kind of feels like everyone's the same because
it's like I absolutely love the guy, but you have someone who just turned into a big heel like Adam Cole on NXT, but I go on his Twitch, the Chugs, and he's just the nicest dude.
Yeah,
I love him. I absolutely love him, but it's just like, man, there's like no believability what's going on right now with TV.
Well, I met Adam Cole like in 2015, and it was a All-Star Extravaganza in San Antonio, and I talked to him. And like just the nicest guy in the world, right? And he was a baby face at the time, and I was telling him how I like him as a heel, and it's like I'm like, you have it, man. You know, like all the ways you sell and your looks and everything. I'm like, you're just an amazing talent, you know. And he was really gracious and thank you. And then he turned heel that night, and it was just like on Kyle O'Reilly, of course. And it was just like it's just so weird to like I can't hate this guy. This guy was super nice to me and everything like that. MJF, he's got it down. He's a dick.
It's the best.
It's the best. Old dickhead. Like it is what it is. I've never seen anybody more rude to fans in my life. But like I don't know.
Dude, we talked about it before. Oh, all right, I'm good now. I was echoing for a second. But we've talked about it before with it's like Cardona and Myers. Like they're feuding on Impact, but then you watch YouTube and they're buying action figures together at those shows.
Yes. And then not only that, Myers is wearing an eye patch on the show, but like he doesn't wear an eye patch for the podcast and stuff. Like it's
right.
It's
like we all know kayfabe's dead. Like we get it, but there's also like the other layer of like at least kind of make it. That's why I like MJF so much. We've talked about that too, but like I like that he sticks to it, even though it's like at least it's something different, you know.
I can still buy into kayfabe at times though. You go to a wrestling show or whatever. I don't mind booing heels that I still like. I don't mind playing along on there, but you still have like you said, like on social media and everything, it's just a complete contrast from what you see on TV.
Yeah, it's a mess. This is a mess. What was I going to say about the? Oh, and then like another thing with the Cardona and Brian Myers, like on Facebook and stuff, they have their own like figure collecting group. So like they're literally asking guys like, hey, can you run me a deal on that Hasbro 94 or whatever? Like it's such a different dynamic now. We are more peers than ever than it was before. Like fans are now really, and they've become such a huge part of the show too. I think that's why it's such a big thing when they're not there. And I hate when crowds also just try to get themselves over for garbage, like some stuff where it's like, because I think that's the problem too, is it's now become such a party atmosphere that like you can't really tell what's really over and not, or at least the front office can't. They're like, oh, he's over, you know, but like how over is he? And just because they cheer for him doesn't mean they really want him as champion or whatever, you know?
Yeah, it's like the Daniel Bryan yes chants, like that was because Daniel Bryan was over, but Rusev Day was people wanted to chant Rusev Day.
Yes, definitely. But I think that they would honestly, if he'd even got a title shot, I think they would have been all there for him. I think they would
probably
rode that ride.
Probably, but you know what I mean. It's like one of those things where like some of it just seems like people, because remember there was a time frame there where people were like trying to get everyone all gathered on Twitter, like let's hijack the shows and that kind of stuff. Like they didn't care what was on the show. They were just trying to like take the show over.
I've definitely been to a show where I just purposely came in there to crap all over it. I went to a Raw one time, and I mean, I just let it have it. And I was just like, let's go Cena. Cena sucks. Like I was literally chanting that next to a kid. Like I didn't care. Like that was when I was like pissed off in their direction and all that stuff. And now like I just, it's whatever. Although right now, like I haven't been to a live show in a long time. I would go to just like a SmackDown. I don't even care. Like I would be happy just to see wrestling again and be around in the crowd and do.
2020 was the first year since '97 that I didn't go to at least one show.
Oh man,
it literally feels like your soul needs to be fed, right? Like I feel like my soul needs to be fed. I need this. I miss it. I miss just the environment and being around it and the whole nine. And like I got big into meet and greets, and I was just like, I was making a damn collection of all these people I was meeting and everything. And it was like, I was like, I'm going to be 40 in like 3 years. I'm going to go hard and try to meet as many people as I can and then kind of lay low once I hit 40. And like, damn it. Like I'm missing years right now to do this. So, but like, I remember like New Japan was supposed to come and start doing some shows and stuff last year. They were going to come and start touring and stuff. And they were going to do Texas. And I was like, dude, I don't care if it's Austin, Dallas, San Antonio, wherever Ospreay is doing the meet and greet, that's the show I'll go to. You know what I mean? Like I was convinced because I've got to make up for that. I missed that $10 bull crap. So, yeah, like, I don't know. It's definitely stuff cross off the list.
Those New Japan US shows were so like, they were like fraud shows. It's like, there was like, come see New Japan so you can see Chase Owens in the main event. It's like, what? Like, that's not New Japan. Like I could watch that in Ring of Honor or whatever. Like, but Brandon, what was the first show you went to in '97? I'm just curious.
97. That was In Your House 15. It was Austin and Taker in the main event. Cold Day in Hell, I think it was called.
Okay,
nice. Yeah, it was very cool.
In Your House, yeah, that was the first one I went to.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
What's the best show you've been to?
Man, like wrestling show?
Yeah,
man. There was a Ring of Honor show in Atlanta for WrestleMania weekend that was super, super good. They had Kings of Wrestling versus World's Greatest Tag Team.
Oh, that was incredible. Yes.
That Center Stage. Center Stage is like the best freaking venue I've ever been to. It was so cool.
I don't think that came across great on TV though. Like from what I remember, like was that still back in the iPay-per-view day?
Yeah.
Quality was like 480p.
And, it wasn't good at all. I went back to watch it afterwards, and I mean, I still enjoed it, but
it's it's not what you remember.
Yeah,
that's how I feel about those Evolve shows. Like I'll go back and watch them, but it does not feel the same like as what it felt like up front.
Yeah. I saw Angle and Benoit in a cage on a Raw. And that still sticks out to me. Like, just one of the best matches I've ever seen.
That's awesome.
Yeah. The moonsault and the headbutt is just so crazy.
And the thing is, too, is like when you see something like that, it solidifies you as a fan again. And I think that's another thing that we're missing with live crowds. Like when you go to an event, like all of a sudden, like I'm like, oh, I need to watch this and this. I want to catch up on this. And like I become more fan than ever. And then like when you don't go to these live events for a while, it's just kind of like, whatever. But like it re-energizes you. And I feel like that we definitely miss that part of things.
Yeah.
What about you, Steven? Best show?
Like personally, there's like some small indies, but like like things that people that like would know. Because I love the indie. Like I love going to a bar that's just packed out with like 200 people, standing room only, just a ring in the bar, and just like I just love that kind of stuff. But like as far as shows people would know, I mean, we talked about WrestleMania 30. That was a really good show. I really liked the Raw after WrestleMania on that year too. That was probably my favorite, one of my favorite shows. That was when like Paige debuted and won the women's title. Cesaro switched allegiance from Dutch Mantel to Heyman, and everyone went crazy for it. Daniel Bryan was super over because he just won the title. And I think that was the first
John last night.
Sorry, what's that?
It was Warriors last night before he passed.
Oh, that's right. There were the Warriors speech, which was
I saw him in the airport that day.
Oh,
really?
Man.
Oh, I saw him in the morning. We saw him in the airport, and then that night he was dead. So crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, that might be my favorite show ever because that's
on social media and like having to like refresh 100 times because like I just couldn't believe we just saw him and he's already died. Triple H made the announcement. I remember that, and I was just like
crazy.
Yeah, that also might have been the first ever John Cena sucks. That might have been that crowd that started that chant.
Yeah, that definitely happened there. I remember that.
So yeah, that was I gotta go. That was a damn fun show. So I'll go with that.
Yeah, nice. Have you been to a UFC, Brandon?
No, I want to go though.
You want to go?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I had family that live out in Vegas for about 3 years, and we had planned like I was going to go out there and we were going to go to a show because they had always gone to them, and of course being able to go around like the strip and everything during those shows, they always said it was just a crazy atmosphere. So I wanted to go to it. I can always try to go to one of those shows they have in Norfolk, but the card's always weak, obviously. Yeah, but I mean, I still would love to just try to go to one for sure.
Yeah, it's worth it just to go, just to experience it and all that. I've been to like 4 or 5, something like that. I've had a good time every time. Some people will tell you like it's not as good live, and they're full of crap. It's the same people who tell you that football games aren't as good live like that. No, football games live are dope. Like it's awesome. The worst MMA show I've been to though was the Bellator Kimbo and Dada fight. Like,
oh, you were there?
Yeah,
I was there.
Wow.
I was there, and I was. And the reason I say it's the worst is it's the closest I've ever been to the cage, and those are the worst. Like, you do not want to be 12, 15 rows to the cage. And, like, 3 rows behind me was, like, Andre Johnson, like the receiver that played for the Texans. Poor guy couldn't see a damn thing, and he's literally getting bothered by every single Texans fan. Like, it was a disaster. But, like, Booker T was there. Mike Tyson was there. There was a bunch of people there.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, but yeah, that was crazy.
I was gonna say in Atlanta, like, because you always just randomly see people at the UFC shows in Atlanta for the Izzy and a Gastelum fight that we were talking about. I spotted DDP walking past. Like, I was in my seat and I saw DDP and QT Marshall walking. But this is pre AEW, so and thinking about it, I'm like, that was definitely QT Marshall, but oh no, sorry, it might have been Matt Griffin. It was someone. Anyway, someone was with DDP. He's walking up the thing, and I'm throwing up the diamond cutter at him. I'm just like trying to get his attention. DDP, and no one's. And then like everyone looked at the same time, and like my whole section threw the diamond cutter sign up, and he looked over and gave it to us, and I was like, oh okay, that was fucking cool. DDP, good dude.
I went to the UFC Expo because they had one here, and it was crazy. But like I was able to meet like a lot of guys. I was able to meet Chuck Liddell and people like that. And then that's when like Chael got on the mic that pay-per-view and was like, Anderson Silva, you absolutely suck. And like Anderson Silva was like right there, and like the freaking guys from Jersey Shore were there. Like there were so many people there that were like you would not expect all to be there, but it was wild. The guy that was always there was the MTV show Robin Big or whatever. The big dude. He was always at those things. And
big black, the dude like Rob Beard.
Dude, he was always there. He always came to the Houston shows. But yeah, the one moment that really sticks out to me live though, and like this didn't stick out to a lot of people, but like, dude, being there live was insane, was when Hogan beat Triple H at Backlash. Like,
that would have been incredible. Yeah. That
was unbelievable because Hogan was at such a high at that point, and like people that's all they wanted. They wanted that whole night was Hogan to win. And when he won, it was just like, it felt
was it Kansas City?
Was Backlash 2002 in Kansas City.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah,
that was the first pay-per-view I'd ever been to too. And my buddies, they went to No Mercy in St. Louis with RVD Angle and Austin. I absolutely love that pay-per-view. I really wish I would have went to that show. That's about a 6-hour drive, and I was only like 18 at the time, so like I hadn't usually driven that far out. So Yeah, but that one really stuck out to me. That was a crazy moment. I went to that Raw Homecoming show, where it was like Angle and Shawn in the Iron Man match. I went to that. I went to
which one was that? Angle and who?
Angle and Shawn in the Iron Man match.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I went to that. So, of course, the WrestleManias. I've been to a bunch of indie shows, Ring of Honors and stuff. We would go to San Antonio all the time. So if they ran there, we usually went to those shows. But yeah,
did you know that Raw, that San Antonio Raw, where they had Triple H and Michaels for the belt?
For December, it was like the end of the year. Bischoff came out. No, I didn't go to that one, but I know about it. And same thing with Cena and Umaga. I missed that one too.
Oh, that Rumble.
It was funny too because like I crapped all over that match, Bill and Doug, back in the day. But like that's actually a good match. Yeah. I was so Cena hated. I hated Cena so much at that time. Like I would never give credit where it was due at that point. But like now I look back and I miss Cena. I think Cena really impressed me towards the end.
I hated Cena up until I don't know if you recall, but like the day the Benoit stuff was happening. Crazy Monday, we watched the tribute, and then the Tuesday, like this when all the news and everything came out, and then the ECW they started the show with Cena, and after that I was like, I'm so happy to see this man. Like I just stopped hating him right after that.
Yeah.
Mine was the U.S. Open Challenge flip me with him. I gained a lot of respect when I was like, I was the same way though. I really hated Cena for a long because I thought he was the reason that everything was going south, and I thought he was like just
he was just like the human embodiment of PG. That's
right.
why people just hated him so much, and not only that, like. He didn't start that way. Like he was kind of that edgy rapper and he was over that way. And then like he just totally sold out. And so people were just like, screw this guy. And then he won everything and he beat everybody. But
we can really blame Brock for all that though. At the end of the day, really, it was all supposed to be Brock.
Yeah. I don't think Cena would have ever really went away. I think if Brock would have been like on the one show and Cena would be on the other, I don't think that they would have put them together too much. I think that one would represent one represent the other. Because at the end of the day, both guys had age on their side too. Like they don't have that anymore. Like Brock was like, 23, 24 when he won the title?
Yeah.
Like those days are over. They don't have anybody that you would probably give the title to that is like 25 and under, you would think, right?
I'm trying to think of who they have who's 25 and or under.
Do they even have anybody 25 and under?
That's a good question. I mean, that's the thing. Some of the guys they just signed are that age, but like they're not going to be the WWE champion. And if they are, it'll be like a long time from now. I don't know. Like I got real scared. Like that. So Doug, like that list that I sent you a few months ago of like all these guys that I had heard that had signed with the WWE. A lot of those names have been confirmed at this point.
Right.
And that was one of the scariest lists I ever saw because I'm like, oh God, all these guys, like there's so much damn talent that's about to like, they're all about to be on 205 Live. Like this is about like, I can't believe this.
Stick them in the warehouse.
Yeah, exactly. But once again, I can't fault people for taking the money. Like I totally get it, but
the excitement level is not there though. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, damn it. Why can't some of these people just go to the main roster if that's eventually the plan? Like, some of these people are ready. They've been on TV for a really long time. And I know they don't do your WWE TV, but like what they did with AJ would have worked for a lot of people if they just put them straight in. It would have helped a lot.
Yeah.
So, all right, fellas, you guys got anything else? You want to go over any questions or anything you want to cover that you didn't get to cover?
I'm good with whatever, but I will say, Brandon, I'm very impressed by your knowledge of like these dates and cities. Like you can like pull these like out of your head. Like that's really, really impressive. Like knowing when all these happen and where. That's the thing that I have the hardest trouble with is like I remember a lot of stuff, but I can't remember like the dates or the city. But that's pretty incredible, man.
Yeah, I try to be a nerd for this stuff, man. So it's like a encyclopedia.
That's awesome. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah,
dude, I could go like with some of the UFCs, like you could say UFC 49 or whatever, and I could name you the card. But like when it gets to a certain level, I can't anymore. Like I can't go there or whatever. So it just depends on what it was and how much of a meaning it had and all that stuff. So, but yeah, some of the I'm trying to think of the best fight I ever saw live. I saw Diego Sanchez and Gilbert Melendez live. That was dope.
That was one of the best 3-round fights ever.
Yeah, I saw Kane and Jr. was insane. Like
the first one?
It was the last one.
Gotcha.
And that was like where Kane literally took years off Junior's life. Yeah. Like it was such a brutal beating. DC and Alexander Gustafsson.
That was a damn good fight.
That was a good fight. And dude, Brandon, I tell you, man, there's something about the main event. Like the like you can watch fights all the way through, but when the main event happens and the lights go out, the electricity is just
it definitely. I mean, obviously, I know it would be better live, but it even transfers through pay-per-view.
Yeah,
like the bar that we go to, I mean, it's shut down now, unfortunately, but the bar we go to, like every UFC main event, like the girls in there at the bar, they know me because I'm sitting there reciting Bruce Buffer for like I did it every single time.
Yeah,
I can only imagine what it's like to be live.
Dude, when we went to New Japan in Dallas, like immediately we left as soon as Okada and Tanahashi was done. Like I didn't listen to his speech or anything. And we hauled ass to a sports bar because that's when Jorge knocked out Ben Askren and all that. John Jones was facing Santos. And like we did whatever we could to get it. We were able to watch it at a sports bar. So, but yeah, it was crazy. You know, what sucks too is John fought here in Houston right before this thing started again. It was like one of the last pay-per-views. And I didn't go to that because, man, tickets were way more when John fights. Like a DC fight compared to a John fight, tickets are way different. You got to pay that John Jones salary.
I got to see Jones live before that happened. Well, he was a star already, but not to the same. I saw him and Rashad in Atlanta for the title.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the first UFC I ever went to. Actually,
what a disappointment.
Yeah, it was kind of a boring fight. And
one of the best buildups ever to one of the worst fights is Rashad and Rampage.
I would say Rashad is in that twice, but yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Dude, when they did that primetime show and they were playing the music at the end and they were like, do, 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 do. And, you know, and Rampage was like, you're done. You're done. And I was just like, and dude, like nothing. He rocked him at like the last round after doing nothing. I was so disappointed in that fight. And I mean, dude, like remember in the Ultimate Fighter, and he's just like, do something. Like, right in his
fly, baby. Let it fly.
Yeah, let it fly. And Rampage
your life.
wanted to just kill him.
That was when Rampage. That was that season where Rampage like destroyed that door.
Yeah. They talked about titties.
Like, oh yeah. That fighter.
Now Titties could probably beat him, you know?
Yeah, he's still around. What's his name again? He's still around.
I have no idea.
He actually still fight, or at least he was fighting as of like a couple of years ago. I saw him pop up in like PFL or something.
Roy Nelson, Matt Mitrione.
Yep.
That was the season the Angle was supposed to be on, right? I think that's what I read.
God, could you imagine? Because Kimbo was on that thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that was Now Brandon Schwab now too, because he's pretty big name now. Like he's taken off after MMA. He was on that show. He was in the finals, and Roy knocked him out cold.
Yeah. Geez, I remember because like everyone seems so surprised that Roy Nelson beat Kimbo, but like I remembered Roy Nelson from IFL.
Yep.
Like him and Ben Rothwell were like the two guys in IFL that were like UFC level.
Yeah.
So yeah, I felt like I wasn't surprised.
I was so pissed when he called Kimbo out right off the bat because I knew it was over.
Right.
Damn it, dude! Like seriously.
But that was a hell of a moment though for like TV when they're all standing there and they're like, wait, there's one person missing, and then like Kimbo walks through the room and everyone knew who Kimbo was. Like that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was like peak Ultimate Fighter for me. Like it never got better after that. Like that was one of the best. Like and coaches matter too, but like fighters matter also, and that was just like a mix of all of it. Like that one's like a GOAT season.
Yeah.
Hopefully ESPN can do something with it and kind of bring it back a little.
I mean, I think coaches matter. I mean, it seems like they want to do Jorge and Colby, but that thing are now Jorge and Usman, and like, I don't know all what they plan on doing in that, but there needs to be heat though. Like, guys, the coaches need to hate each other. That always makes it for the best show.
The only thing that'll get me to watch is if they do it live again. How they did that one season where the fights were live. Like that'd get me back in. But when it's all pre-taped and I can just kind of like wait until the finale, then kind of find the fights that mattered leading up to that. That's all. Yeah. I'm not going to sit there and watch like these guys living in a house, like reality TV. So I just don't care. But this is what's interesting about that is, you know, the Contender Series exists now. So like if you're a fighter and you have the option, you're going to go Contender Series 10 out of 10 times. So I feel like Ultimate Fighter is going to be like whoever ESPN thinks will make the best reality TV, not necessarily the best fighters. You know what I mean?
Like Sean O'Malley, like if it was the same thing like Sean O'Malley, they probably would have put on Ultimate Fighter instead of the Contender Series.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
And dude, Sean O'Malley on the Ultimate Fighter would have been huge. Like if people saw his personality and everything, like that guy is a trip.
Yeah, big time.
He went down to being humbled, huh? Like they were talking about him being like the next big thing. He loses one fight to a weird injury type deal, and like he's not even mentioned. He's fighting again soon though.
Yeah,
so we'll see.
He almost lost that fight before to was it like Sukumtoth or whoever? Like the dude who he fought, who like his leg was screwed up, and the guy kept going to the ground instead of just
Rogan
letting
had to
him
do like the post-fight interview on the ground.
Yeah,
he couldn't even stand up. Like his feet are destroyed.
O'Malley just like masterfully played the whole like hype beast card. Like he went after like the millennials, like Generation Z, like people who, you know, the Twitch streaming crowd, the limited drop merchandise crowd, like, and they bought into him doing these promos on a throne with multicolored hair and stuff. Like it worked for him, but then, you know, we'll see what happens, you know, once he's losing now. So it's like, well, you know, if he can bounce back, that's great, but that's, you know, that's kind of what makes like Conor so incredible, right? Like he backed it up, you know, even through the whole gimmick, and like that's kind of O'Malley hasn't really done that.
You like that Conor piece right over there, Steven?
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's
all that stuff's awesome. Is that BJ underneath? What a turn he's taking.
You can't see it, but the Diaz brothers are next to him. Tito's next to Conor. I got DC, Robbie Lawler, and Anderson Silva up there.
So sick.
What's up?
They're all signed?
Yeah, they're all signed.
Sick.
That's so sick. The Diaz brothers is the one that I'm most jealous about.
And I'm staring at Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold, AJ, Kurt Angle, Tyson, Roy Jones, Manny Pacquiao, Deion Sanders, Dak and Romo. And then on the side, I have like Daniel Bryan, Hulk Hogan, Ring of Honor champions of Jay Lethal, Michael Elgin, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish, Will Ospreay, CM Punk, Omega, and Ibushi.
On one of your like a one-off videos, you should just record like this stuff.
I am. My mom just moved out. Thank God it's over.
You've been talking about that for a minute.
I mean, it's never have your parents move in with you. But I did 3 years with my mom, and now she just moved out yesterday. So it's like unbelievable. So anyways, I'm going to get 2 shelves added here for more figures. And then I'm going to get another 2 Detolfs for the wrestling figures. And then I'll do the tour.
Show you
everything I got.
Sweet.
Check this out, Brandon. I don't know if you've seen these, but I got.
Ooh, that's sick. Who made that? What?
These are Intervay.
Nice.
And it's a 2 set deal. So that's the other one.
Oh, sick, old school, nice.
Yeah, these two were like $300, but I have 3 Jordans. So I have one Jordan that's just like not much. I haven't even opened the other 2, but yeah, I want to have just like a whole setup of a whole bunch of different stuff that I collect.
Hell yeah, man!
Sweet.
You pre-ordered AEW Series 4, right? You just didn't do it the first series. Gotcha. Or not the first series, but the first.
I've got the Cody exclusive. I'm waiting for over a year for the New Japan Super 7 figures. Pisses me off. It's like over a year, and it's like $185 for 4 figures, but you get like crazy accessories with them. So I'm hoping they look really good, and that'll work. And then I've got I literally have a stack of like 14 figures right here next to me, and then I just got Ted DiBiase Chase variant and Shayna Baszler. This is like Amazon exclusive.
Yeah, you got a problem, man.
Brandon? Nothing?
What's that?
I say you collect anything?
No, not at all. That's why, like, yeah, I just
enjoy your money.
Yeah, like I even saw like the figures. I guess it's like a second wave for those AEW figures, and I just kind of went on eBay. I'm like, what are these going for right now? Like, can I buy these and then flip them later? But I was like, you know what? I'll just let them go.
Ask Doug what he did with his AEW series too.
I bought series 2 for $145. I sold them on eBay for like $720.
Man.
And I got the figures and kept them because I was like, I want them so bad. I don't want them to all go away. I wish I would have done what Doug did.
Yeah.
And then what's crazy is just 2 months later, those figures are worth like $220.
Yeah.
Like on the market or whatever. So you still can make a small profit, but like if you're able to be the first ones to get those figures, because as soon as you order them off Ringside Collectibles, they put you like in an order. So as soon as they drop it, if you order it, you get it first. And if you're one of the first people to get it, people will pay ridiculous amounts of money, especially AEW. And that's the thing. Like, I think people aren't understanding with like ratings and stuff like that. Like TNA did not sell tickets like that. Like It's a different vibe. I don't care what the ratings are. I'm telling you, it's different. And people are willing to spend a ton of money on AEW.
Hell yeah.
They had figures and you could even make a profit off those things.
Yeah. Yeah. I am, thoroughly what's the right word? I really, really love the AEW figures. I think they're great. Like, I'm happy I'm collecting them.
They do a really good job, and it's from the same people that did the old WWE figures, like the classics and all that stuff. Like it's the same company, so he's very like into what figure collectors want and all that stuff. So, and like honestly, like Zack Ryder and Myers and all that, they made it cool like for adults to collect. Like as easy as that sounds, but like it's become way more acceptable when you have all these adult collectors collecting stuff and promoting it and all that.
Right.
I don't know what it is. It just kind of gives me something to do and something to look forward to, and especially like during this time, like it just gives me a buzz of looking for stuff and finding it and collecting. And the worst thing in the world is running out of room. Like this is my office. If I run out of room here, my wife will not give me anything. It's not happening. I can't have my kids' playroom. She just since my mom moved out, she now has her craft room, which means she can take all this crap that's been in my office forever and she can take that and put that in there. And then, everything will be straight. But yeah, once I'm out of room here, I'm toast. I'll have to decide which pictures go down for more space or something. I don't know what I'll do. But it's what it is. This is the problem about being an adult and being able to afford what you want. It gets out of hand. You're like, $50 for a figure. That's kind of ridiculous. But then you realize if you don't buy it now, it's going to be $100 in 6 months. You know what I mean? So then it's like, well, then you justify yourself buying this stuff. And then,
that's how the Last Dance DVD or Blu-ray.
Yeah,
like, it's on Netflix and you get it on iTunes, whatever. But it's $50 on Target. And I was like, I could get this right now or get it later. But later, it's once they stop selling it, it's going to be like $200 or $300. So I'm buying 2 of them. I was like, just in case, I can sell them for later.
Well, and especially if they ever edit it or anything,
right?
It's like this is the real deal, the real version, the whole thing. By the way, that was so phenomenal.
That's great.
Is there anything in sports that you would like to see that could be a story about, like something like that?
I don't know, man. I mean, the 30 for 30 series is pretty good.
Enigma. Like Jordan to me was like the closest thing to American royalty, like growing up. Like, and I didn't know a ton about him. I just knew he was cool, like beyond anything I could imagine. There was nothing that like Jordan in any way, like I looked at Jordan in a negative light, like growing up. So like just finding out the real guy and stuff. And I mean, I've heard stories about how he is to certain fans and stuff, and it sucks. But like, he is such a, I don't know how to explain it. Like, and that's why people that are big Jordan fans or whatever can never accept LeBron that way or whatever, just because it's like, it's their larger than life character.
Like on Sandlot, how they describe Babe Ruth, less than a god, more than a man.
Yeah,
yes.
So
that's exactly a great Bambino,
right? And like that's exactly what he was. And it's not just like because of just how he played. He was like the Gatorade commercial guy, and he was like he just was like such part of pop culture. He was in the Michael Jackson music video, and like. You know, the thing that tripped me out the most, though, from The Last Dance is that Sandman was in the hotel when they won their last championship.
Oh,
yeah. He was celebrating with them when they walked through the hotel. I was like, are you serious? And then Sandman didn't even really remember it. He was like, I guess. I mean, I was there, but I don't.
Loaded, yeah.
Yeah,
like I saw that clip, and I was like, that looks like Sandman. And then like there was people that caught it too, and like he was legit there.
Well, you know, supposedly those people who made The Last Dance are working on a Steve Austin something for him like that, which would be incredible. Like the late '90s Stone Cold top of the Attitude Era documentary. That'd be awesome.
Those A&E documentaries that are coming out soon.
That lineup is fantastic.
Yeah.
Like there isn't one story in there that I am not interested in. The only thing I'm worried about being a hardcore fan is like, are they going to tell me a bunch of stuff that I don't know?
Right.
You know what I mean? But like, if they present it right and with the right music and everything, gets me because I thought the Taker documentary was fantastic.
Yeah, or the Yokozuna thing that
Enigma.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, especially because he didn't talk to do interviews for so long that.
Now he can't stop doing them.
Yeah, now he's all over the place.
After the Rogan interview, he might not do another one.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny as hell. They complain about him calling them soft, and then they drop that Fox thing where they have each girl is like $1 amount, and they threw this biggest fit to get it pulled. And it's like, you're proving him right. Like the guy saying that he used to be like homeless in a car begging for a booking, and you're upset that they value you as $1. Like it's just so funny. Have you ever heard of DraftKings? Like this happens all the time. Players get low value.
They don't know anything. They're stuck in a bubble.
Yeah. They really are. It's crazy to me.
I would just to answer your question though. Also, like I would like to just for another athlete. I'd really like to see. I know ESPN did like a short thing for him, but I'd love to see like a good Ken Griffey Jr. documentary from the '90s.
Yeah,
like. Because he was all the video games. He was like the Nike guy. I mean, he made baseball cool. I mean, you know, they had the steroid era and whatnot, but Griffey was like cool before all that even happened. So
they were such a traditional sport, and they never were about like people like walking around with their hat backwards, and like he broke the trend. Plus, he came in like with his dad. Like
really cool.
He had dope ass shoes. Like there's just a lot of things about that era that was like.
I just bought a pair last week.
Did you really?
Of Griffey Griffey shoes?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
I had the Griffey shoes. I had the Dion shoes. Like of course Jordans. Like who didn't?
I had the Penny Hardaways.
The plastic blue ones.
Yeah, like the old, I mean, I wish I still had. I mean, I wore them when I was a kid and like threw them out when I wore them out. But like, I wish I still kind of had that kind of stuff, just like in a box somewhere, because he was huge too for him. I mean, not to the same level, but like the little penny commercials and all that stuff. He was real big for a minute.
Yeah, that 30 for 30 on the Orlando Magic is fantastic.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
Yeah, that one's really good.
Yeah, with like Horace Grant.
That shot, what was it, Nick Anderson?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like how bad that affected him.
Oh, yeah, it screwed him up pretty much his whole career.
Yeah. It was wild. Like you don't think about that as a kid. It was just like, okay, he missed it, whatever, next year.
Like the fact they put incentives in his contract just to shoot free throws in a game, that's so crazy. Not just shoot them.
Yeah. That is wild. Like it's definitely worth watching if you haven't seen it, Steven.
Yeah, I feel like I did, but maybe I haven't, because that was the team with like Horace Grant and all that, right? Like, yeah. And I remember Nick Anderson.
I love how they did the lottery too. Like they built it up and how they kept hitting on the lottery, like the draft lottery. Like it was dope. They did a really good job on that one.
I'm gonna watch that back.
Stuff like that. But it's just weird. I don't feel definitely. How are you feeling about basketball right now, Brandon?
I mean, this season is like the least that I've watched in a while. I like the bubble atmosphere. I was all about that, and maybe that's because I missed sports.
Yeah,
the atmosphere, they made it look cool and everything. But watching the games now in those empty arenas, it's just like, it's just kind of a drag, man.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is the least I've watched.
Especially too, like these regular season games where they're not as important. Like the bubble atmosphere was like, we only have so many of these games. We've got to do something. You know what I mean? And like this is kind of just like, we just got to wait till we get through. You know what I mean? So it's not. It's not.
Just basically waiting for the playoffs, and we'll see what happens then. And then,
crowds by then.
I'll say, maybe even if it's limited, maybe we'll start having crowds and everything.
I saw that our governor in Texas is talking about the mask mandate being removed possibly soon. So I feel like if that happens, if Florida does it, if Texas does it, it's got to get somewhat close.
I mean, slowly but surely, when people start getting vaccinated, everything is going to happen. So
yeah. I've heard like a lot of people think by like June-ish, maybe like May, June, something like that. I'm like, Tony Khan, just do like 50%. Because like if you watch those crowds, like there's literally nothing in the middle. Like the whole middle is taken. There's nothing there. And I think they've maxed on 30%. Dude, just do me 50%. Be 50%. Let that crowd take care of that show.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. We went almost 3 hours. Pretty solid.
That's a long one. Brandon's first episode on here with us. So that's you 3 hours, man. Me and Doug sit here for freaking forever. So thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, for sure. I'm down.
Honestly, like I don't really get to talk to a lot of people about wrestling and stuff like that, and especially right now, like I'm just going to work and coming home, and whatever. And so, like, I love it. It keeps me. It's able to get my release out, and then I get to also share with everybody here, and people can go back and check out the videos, and it's just it's a cool thing. If you know anybody that you think might want to jump on too, and because like I said, I'm all about having like group discussions, and I think it'd just be cool, especially like after pay-per-views and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try to get Bill on after Revolution. We'll see.
Are you guys watching it together?
Yeah, we always do. I let him get it off of the Bleacher Report or whatever.
With a buddy,
because then it stays with him,
and
he can watch it whenever he wants to. So I usually end up going to his house. It's just, I mean, at the end of the day, like if people have kids, like I mean, he's got 3 kids, and then I have 2 kids. My son is 2, and he is a tear. I'm telling you what, he's over everything. And then my daughter's 8, and Bill's son is 9. His daughter's like 4 and 2 or something like that, maybe 5 and 3, something like that. So just like to get them all in bed and all that, to be able to do something is the biggest issue.
Right.
So we can just say, hey, let's just go make a video. But I was thinking about doing maybe like a throwback review and something like that, but we'll see. I don't know if I can get him to do it, but if anything, I think I can eventually get him just on a chat or something like that.
It's easy, just pop on here,
pop in and whatever. He just doesn't want to get into anything that could affect his life or anything like that. Like like I said, he's off social media now. He's just kind of laid back and chill, and
definitely understood.
He lets me tell him what's going on in the world, but he doesn't pay attention to it too much. But I mean, I still talk to Bill. He still watches. He's really like not into it as much without crowds, though. Like he just can't. It's just not the same to him. So I really have to like talk him into watching a Dynamite if I think it's going to be good, or if something cool happens. He'll kind of pay attention to it, but like he probably won't knock out like a whole Dynamite or anything like that. But he usually watches the pay-per-view. I usually get him to watch the pay-per-view. So.
Sweet. But yeah, man, I'll definitely hop on here anytime you guys want.
Cool.
Hell yeah. I do some stuff on my own as well, and I'd be happy to have you on as a guest sometime soon, talk some wrestling. That'd be awesome.
Sweet, absolutely.
Hell yeah. I'm glad I got to meet you. I liked your videos, but I didn't get a chance to tell you, but like I watched you, watched Doug, Bill, Truth Slayer, all those guys back in the day. I was in high school and college during those times. So like it's really cool, like kind of it's funny because like that was such a huge time for wrestling. And like there's people I work with at Fightful that still bring up like y'all's videos from that era where it's like, man, I wish it was still like back in the day when people just went on YouTube and just said what they felt. And like, and then it's so like, it's funny because like all y'all still have like these fan bases, but like the time has just changed so much over the span of what, 15 years or whatever.
Right.
But
that's so crazy, 15 years.
It really is, man.
Oh, it gets on my nerves too, is they're like, oh my God, dude, I remember listening to you in 6th grade. And they're like 22, 23. I'm like, cool. Now it's great, you know? Right. Like, I appreciate that. I've always been super cool to anybody who approaches me. And usually, I swear to God, any wrestling show I go to, I get recognized by at least somebody. Like, it's just always happens. So, and it's usually like, do I know you? I was like, yeah, you know, I used to do YouTube. Oh, you're Doug. Like, yeah, I am. Hi. You know, awesome. It is what it is. But, like, I definitely, like, I remember the main thing I remember that stuck out about you, Brandon, was like you were on that like commercial for TNA trying to get like that video.
Yeah.
Like I remember that.
I'm trying to remember what was that?
That was for the was it LAX and Beer Money? I think the strap match for Victory Road.
Was that okay? Okay.
Yeah.
We had to like cut our own promo or something.
Why
needed a strap or whatever. I don't remember.
I just remember the commercial. They showed me like 3 times, and no one else got on there like more than twice. And I'm like, "Am I about to win this?" And they gave it to the dude that lived in Houston. I'm like, "Well, you know, they want to save some money, whatever. That makes sense."
Oh man! So was it y'all recorded videos and then they played them as like a promo package type thing?
Yeah, they like chopped it up. I have it somewhere on like a hard drive somewhere.
Man, I'd like to see that. That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And they just chopped up everyone's promo on there. Like I said, they put mine on there like 2 or 3 times. And I was like, damn, I think I'm about to win this.
Yeah.
I remember like the people that were like overseas. I don't know if you remember like on YouTube, they used to put comments like on the main page. Yep. And, like the people like overseas, they got the Impact show earlier. And I just remember coming home to like a bunch of comments, dude, you were Impact. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I saw it that night. And like I said, I thought for sure I was going to win a trip to Houston, but they gave it to the dude that lived in Texas.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that makes sense.
What's funny is we lived there too. Like you would think for sure we would have got the deal because, you know, like we were TNA addicts or whatever crap. So, but yeah, they never, that was a weird situation too back in the day. And I think it's so funny, dude. Like I basically blew our chance because I called Dixie a bitch.
Yeah, we remember that. That's classic.
And I'm not kidding. They said, like, Dixie's not happy with you. Like, flat out, that's what they said.
Because didn't they, like, unsubscribe from y'all and everything? Yeah. Like, I remember that. Yeah. I remember that whole, like, saga. Yeah.
It's like, that's the thing is how stupid companies are, though, because it's like when you unsubscribe to your biggest supporters, like, you're done. You look stupid. Like, you know, Star Wars Theory, he has, like, 3 million subs, and Star Wars YouTube channel has, like, 3.5. And they made fun of Star Wars Theory. And it's like, you just pissed off like 3 million people. Like, I don't think people understand the impact of YouTube. They treat like their entertainment companies and all this other stuff, these news networks and stuff, that they're so much more important. And it's like, it's getting pretty level here. Like, you have to be able to take into consideration that. But, I mean, I deserve that part. Like, you know, whatever. It was awkward though, how touchy-feely Dixie was. I'm not gonna lie. Like I have a picture of me and her, and like she's definitely very close. And it was almost like when I met her, she was kind of drunk, I think, and she just she just kind of fell on me, and like I had to hold her, and it was just kind of like, oh, okay. But yeah, and that was on this stupid Vendetta video too. God dang it.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that video like really well. Still,
everybody does.
Is that the video where you're like, Dixie Carter. Yeah, you talk about Dixie Carter giving you a hug, and like how like Ken Jones, like she's afraid of Ken Jones.
Something like that bitch couldn't get off me or something like that. I don't know what it was.
There's a lot of wrestlers who'll say the same story, apparently.
Yeah, like Mickey James, right, Brandon?
Yeah, man.
Whoa, what?
Same, it's just a drunken situation. I got a hug from a drunk wrestler. But I love her, so I will not talk ill about her.
Hey, fair enough.
We all have our stories.
Oh yeah.
All right, cool, guys. Well, hey, I appreciate y'all you having me on again, Doug and Brandon. Once again, it was really nice meeting you, man. I hope to talk to you soon.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah, Brandon, if you want to start your YouTube stuff up, whatever, I'll help you, promote it, or you can come on here and promote it or whatever. Like I said, just help each other out.
For sure, man.
Hell yeah.
Awesome, fellas. Well, it's midnight here, so I'm going to hit the hay.
Yeah. All right, cool. I'll see you fellas later. Have a good one.
Thanks for coming to chat, guys. Take care.